Hi y'all, good morning. Hopefully you can see me okay. It's still a little bit dark out here right here at sunrise, but we're going on a bait run today, y'all. Me and you, we gotta get us some catfish bait, skipjack, white bass. Honestly, it don't matter to me. We just need something to bait a catfish hook with. So I've already started fishing. I put in here at the back of this creek. There's a couple people back there fishing off the banks. I waited to start the video till I got out here, but on the way up through here, I've already got us 3 skipjack right there, 2 of them worthy of being catfish baits. That other little one back there, I'll probably just use for a thumbnail or something, or put him on the hook hole. But nevertheless, we're gonna do some trolling out here first thing this morning. Get our bait here, right here at sunrise, try to get our skipjack, white bass, get enough for a couple days catfishing, hopefully, if things go well. And then I'm gonna switch over today and do some ultralight fishing, beat the banks, hopefully catch some bluegill, yellow bass, crappie, whatever we can run into out here. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna have a little combination trip, y'all. We're just gonna hook whatever wants to bite today. I'll show you my baits that I'm running here right now that I'm trolling with once we reel in the next fish. I've got them pulling behind me currently, but it's a spoon. It's a Sumo spoon, just like a curved piece of metal with a hook on it, and those things are pulling behind me right now, and they're just kind of creating vibration and flash as we go along. And I'm pulling out of the creek behind me, and my plan is to kind of troll up here in between this creek that I'm in and the next creek up. I've been getting some bait here lately, kind of first light time period right here in the morning, when the sun first starts to come up, kind of in between these 2 creeks. And that bite may have possibly changed. Again, I did hook a couple decent sized skipjack back here, but most of the activity I was seeing, surface activity, it looked like those little small ones, like baby skipjacks. So I want to just come out here, we'll make a lap. We'll go all the way up here to this other creek, probably go back in it a good way, see what's going on there, and turn around, and wherever we catch the most fish at, we'll kind of just key in on that area right there. We'll just kind of focus in on that, target our time in that area. But right now I'm in my pedal kayak. This is my Old Town. Right there was a splash, something come up right there beside us. But I'm in my Old Town pedal kayak. This is the Big Water 132 model. I don't have my graph on because honestly I don't need it doing this style of fishing. I know my casual trolling speed is going to be somewhere between 2 and 3 miles an hour, 2.5-ish most likely. Perfect trolling speed for both skipjack, white bass, and it's a good speed to troll these spoons at, which I'm running here on both rods. So anyway, y'all my fishing buddies today. Y'all gonna help me catch bait. You're here for the duration, man. I'm probably gonna fish for 3 or 4 hours this morning. Probably do this here for hour and a half, however long it takes to get us enough for catfishing, and then switch over and do the ultralight fishing after that for a little while. Just have some fun with the ultralight pole, but I'm gonna leave the camera going the whole time. You're gonna see it all from right now when, well, technically it ain't starting the trip because I started it when I launched back in the creek, but there's people back there. And okay, we got something right here. I think it's another small, maybe. Yeah, I think it's another one of them tiny baby skipjack. I almost wish he'd come off so we don't waste time with him here. But yeah, there was people back there fishing off the bank. Yeah, good, he come off. I kept that one small one just because I'll get a thumbnail for a YouTube video with him. But I don't like using skipjack that small. They get ripped off the hook very easily. So I'd rather let them go, let them get bigger, and then try to catch them again when they're adult sized. And I can actually get a few baits out of them. Seems like a waste to keep them when they're small like that. I should have showed you that bait before I cast it back up. Remind me on the next one. I'll show it to you. But yeah, I'm gonna put y'all on the chest here, let you ride with me. Them people back there in the back of this creek, they was just fishing off the bank, and I come out of that creek on one side and they were on this side. So, you know, I had a little room right there. I wasn't encroaching on them while they were casting, but I didn't want to start the video back there because I'm weird about that kind of thing. I don't like talking on camera around people. It's just weird. Plus it was still a little bit dark. We're right here kind of Technically, I guess it is sunrise right now, but it's very cloudy out here this morning. We had some weather roll through yesterday evening, and you can see it's kind of a dreary morning. Not supposed to have any rain on us, thankfully. At least I hope not, because I did not bring a rain suit or an umbrella or anything. But yeah, we're gonna get out here, piddle around, see what we see. Lately, here's how it's been going down on my bait runs. There's a time period. It kind of starts a little bit after sunrise lately, and it lasts for about 30 minutes, seems like, and you'll see all kinds of surface activity going on. White bass be over here, skipjack over here. I've caught some largemouth and smallmouth mixed in periodically. But that surface bite, it's a brief window. It maybe lasts 30 minutes and it's over. Now, there'll still be some fish in the area, but I think they just go a little deeper. I think they move. So I wanted to get out here, you know, at a time period, try to get out here before that bite starts, assuming that it does start today. And that way I can kind of be trolling around, maybe pick off a fish or two here and there, kind of see where they're at. And then when that time period starts, assuming it does, then we're going to know exactly where to kind of key in on today, because they're always moving. You know, lately I've been getting them kind of between these two creeks, but you know, I know we already got two skipjack farther back in that creek. And on the other trips recently, I haven't got anything back there. So maybe they've moved back there today, but they'll kind of usually be in the same general area, but they're always chasing that bait. They're always chasing shad, so you never know on a particular day where they're going to be in the area. They might be in the back of a creek here today, and the next day be out here in the middle of the channel over 70 feet of water. You just never know. It's just every day's a puzzle, but when you have a time period where they're up in the water column, they're busting the surface, they got them shad right on the top of the water, that's a good indicator of where you need to spend your time, when you can visually see them. Otherwise, you just kind of a hope and a prayer that you're going to run into them. And so, you know, if you're trolling, you've obviously got a better chance of running into them than you do if you're casting, but you got to get your bait in front of them. So we'll just make our way out here. We're going to turn, go down in this creek. This one here isn't nearly as long as the one that we launched in. We'll go in, make a pass down it, turn around, come back out, go back down, and hopefully by that point in time, we will have some information as far as where we need to kind of focus. And you know what we may have to do, if let's say we don't get anything in this creek, we don't get anything headed back down toward the other one, and maybe we're not seeing any surface activity. Well, hey, maybe that tells us that we need to go back further down in the creek that I launched in, because I did before y'all got out here. Y'all done showed up late, whatever, you know. I got them two skipjack there in the cooler. So it's always a mystery. It's always a puzzle. Every time you come out on the water, you can have an idea of what you want to do. You can have a pattern maybe from your previous trip, but you got to figure out day by day what it's going to take and where you're going to have to do it. Now, I am running spoons on both rods, and here's why. That's been my most productive bait lately. Normally, I like to throw jigs for skipjack. I get probably 80% of my skipjack throughout the year on jigs, which is just crappie jigs tied on, a couple of them in a series on the line. But lately, the spoon bite's been on, and it's been way out producing. When I've been running a spoon rig and a jig rig side by side, the spoon rig has been 5 to 1, 6 to 1. I mean, it's way out producing. So I've just switched over. Until that changes, until I can't get them on the spoon anymore, I'm going to switch over and run the 2 spoon rigs for the time being. Just to try to maximize our time on the water here. Make sure that we're giving ourselves the best opportunity to get it. Why they're keyed in on that right now, I don't know. Maybe it's that erratic movement. Maybe it's the size. I don't know. Could be either way. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter to me. I just want to I know it's working better, at least lately, so I want to roll with it until it don't anymore. Lord, we got another boater up here. It's too damn early for all these people to be, I mean, I've done seen 3 people now, between the 2 bank fishermen, and now this guy. I mean, we've got too many damn people in the water. It's a weekend when I'm filming this, but I didn't think there'd be many people here. I thought today, coming out here, the biggest hindrance for us would be the wind. It's supposed to kick up this morning, and I thought it may impede us from ultralight fishing effectively when we start doing that, which is going to be unfortunate if that happens, because I really want to do some ultralight fishing today. I've been in the mood. So what we may have to do is try to find a place out of the wind, figure out which way it's going to blow, and then hide from it. See what we can catch. But I want to catch something on that ultralight today. It's been a while. I've been missing it. I want to get a good ultralight session in. I'm not seeing a lot going on back here in this creek, but I just want to, let's just run back here toward the back of it. Since I did get them skipjack there toward the back of the other creek, wouldn't hurt to check this one out. Y'all wave at this fella, be nice. All your fingers too now. I did it for you, and you're welcome. One of us has to be the bigger person here, y'all. I know how yins are. But anyway, we're going fishing together today. I'm gonna tell you some stories along the way. What the hell is this guy doing? You know, there's an old saying in life, folks, you gotta doo-doo or get off the pot. And he was gunning it, backing off, gunning it, backing off. It's like, if you're gonna go, go, buddy. Get after it now. It's too early in the morning for me to be annoyed by people. I had another great comment last night, y'all. This guy, it was from an older video. It's like from a video last year. And it must have been a tournament video, because those are the only videos where I really get super annoyed with boaters, because I'm on the water on a weekend during terrible hours to be out there. And this guy, man, he wrote an essay. The usual stuff that people tell me. I don't own the water, and I don't have a right to be upset, and blah, 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 and just on and on and on. I mean, this guy, he put some time into this. And I'll at least give him kudos on this. The words were spelled correctly, and he used some grammar. He used some punctuation. There were periods at the end of sentences. I think there was a comma or 2 in there. So like unlike most of the idiots that want to troll me, that just, it's a word salad of misspelled words, this guy actually, he seemed to have some brains about him, but nevertheless wrote an essay about how I don't own the water, and I got no right to be upset. And I wanted to just blast back and be like, you know, this from the guy writing an essay telling me how I should think, act, and feel, you know, in the damn comment box. I can't stand those type of people. I'm like, I'm gonna be the bigger person. That was a big splash down there by that tree. I was like, I'm gonna be the bigger person here. I'm just gonna delete. I'm gonna block it and go on. I'm not gonna respond. Because the natural instinct, I think it's human instinct. It's just human nature. When somebody attacks, our first instinct is to attack back, right? You know, like that's, I think that's just how it is from the time we were born. I think it's human nature. You have to, in the old days, back when, you know, our ancestors were living a much harder life than we all do now. Like back when they actually had to survive, it was kill or be killed, right? Like that was our instinct, that our ancestors had, just to progress our species, the human species, forward. That's what they had to do, kill or be killed. Survival of the fittest. Only the strong survive. You know, whatever, use your cliche analogy. And so I think it's just in our DNA, even if it's something just totally minor and insignificant, like a damn YouTube comment from some idiot that's living a miserable life, you know, and gets triggered because he's watching a fishing video and I say I don't like being on the water with pleasure boaters. You know, God forbid, news at 11, you know. Even if it's something minor like that, it's still in our human nature, our DNA, to just want to lash out right back. And I'm trying to be better than that. Not because I am better than that. I'm not. Trust me, I'm not. I'm a very petty, spiteful person. But I try to look at it from the perspective of I'm giving them what they want. They're clearly, if they're having to interact with me, a complete stranger, in such a negative way as to, because, you know, the old saying, you catch more flies with honey. If you leave a nice comment, you're probably going to get a positive response. But, you know, again, the human nature aspect of it, if you attack somebody, they're going to attack back. So you're almost guaranteed of getting some feedback, getting some kind of attention from the person that you're attacking. So, you know, when that happens, I try to think of it from the perspective of, we're going to make a turn here in this creek and start, because it's going to get shallow when we get back in here. Let's go ahead and make our turn, and I'm not seeing anything further back here anyway. But I try to look at it from the perspective of, like, this person's obviously living a miserable life to the point that they're having to write out a full-length essay in the comment box of a complete stranger, somebody they don't know, and try to be negative so that they can get some kind of response. Like, I promise you, my comment box, that's not the only comment box he's ever wrote an essay in. You know, I don't have a way of looking up his other comments that he's left on other videos, but I promise you I'm not the first, and I won't be the last, because that's how he's getting his attention that he clearly ain't getting at home. And so I just try to, when I see that, even though my gut instinct, my first instinct is to fire back, I try to just think of it as, Justin, if you do it, you're feeding it, you're giving them what they want, and I just need, it'll just stick it to them even worse to not get any response, like I don't care. And most of these people like that, here's something else I figured out. And this is why I block them. Oh, look right here. I thought nothing was back there, but we done hooked into one. Let's see what this is. Okay, y'all. Let's see what we got here. He's not coming up. I don't think it's a skipjack. And it's probably not a largemouth either, since he ain't come up. Maybe it's a white bass. White bass, okay. I'll take that. Let me get us moving forward here again so we don't get our other spoon snagged. Nice. Oh, it's another one toward the goal. Okay. Interesting. We got some white bass. This, I promise you, he wasn't alone back here. This fish had some friends with him. You may want to make another pass at some point. I'm going to keep going for now. Yeah, we didn't see any kind of surface activity from the white bass, but those are a schooling fish. You don't catch them just individually alone, so he's got some friends. He was on the smaller side though. Well, I kind of right now, we're just exploring. I want to make my way back out, head back down toward this other creek, unless we just really start both rods going down here, you know. Just want to see what's going on right here first thing. I forgot to show you. Let me just reel it in. I done forgot to show you again, this daggone lure. If I don't do it now, I'll get to talking, telling you stories, and I'll completely forget. So here's a better look. At least it's light enough out here too. Hopefully you can see it a little better than before. But this is it's called a Sumo spoon. Catfish Sumo sells them. They're cheap. They're a 4-pack for like 12 bucks. I mean, they're very economical bait, but it's just a piece of metal. And you can see that hook there is riveted in. And when this thing goes through the water, let me show you. Let me get me some speed here and I'll show you exactly how this thing moves, because this water is pretty clear. So you can see this thing. You see it right there? See how it's spinning and turning? It's creating vibration. A little bit of flash. It looks like a shad that is away from its school and it's panicking, it's swimming frantically. Easy meal for a predator fish. And so I've got that tied on a 15-pound fluorocarbon leader up to a swivel. Very important this. If you're going to try using spoons, you need a good quality ball bearing swivel. Otherwise, you're going to get a ton of line twist as that thing spins through the water. I mean, you're going to have a bad day if you don't use a good quality swivel. Use a cheap swivel, or if you try to just tie it to your main line, you're going to be in for a bad time. So I've cast that thing out a little ways. You can't cast it far because it's so lightweight. Not without a weight or sinker or something. So I just let out some more line behind us. It's not an exact science. You don't have to put out a certain length of line. It doesn't really matter. You just want it going behind the kayak a distance. So as we move along, there's some space between us. All right, so we've got 2 skipjack, 2 usable skipjack. We won't count that miniature one in there. I'm on thumbnail. And now a white bass. So I figure I need about, I'd like to get about 2 days worth of baits. So 10 to 12 fish would be nice. I don't care what combination. I've been catching fish on both skipjack and white bass lately, so it doesn't matter to me what we catch. I just need about 10 to 12 of them. That'll last me a couple days catfishing, and then I'll refresh the bait supply. Bait's been tough. Places that I have historically got fish, or got bait fish, this time of year have failed me. It's failed me all summer, actually. I've been just struggling. Left rod got hit with something. I've been just kind of hitting different places that I wouldn't normally have to go to, because where I normally would go to, they're just, I mean, it's not that I'm not getting enough at those places. I'm not seeing them at all. Like completely gone. Not even there. Now, I don't know why that is, because I mean, it's been pretty predictable for a long time, but you know, I've been grinding, scrounging up, and I come across this bite a little over a week ago, and it's been good enough. I had one day, and that's actually my last, for regular viewers, my last video was a carp trip. I had done a carp trip because when I had come out to make a bait run, I'd come here and I got some. We got one right here. Let's see what this is. We got the skipjack. I don't know if this one is going to be big enough that we'll want to keep, or he's coming right at us. Oh, he's coming right at us. Yeah, we'll keep that. Oh boy, look at that. We got lucky. He fell down right in my transducer spot. He come free right as I was lifting him in. There he is, folks. Throw him back there. All right. The old saying, better to be lucky than good. Nice, we'll take it. So these fish kind of seem to be sporadic through here. Kind of a little bit of everywhere, but sporadic. I'm still not seeing any surface activity, really. Just an occasional splash here and there. Yeah, but anyway, I'd come out and made a bait run, and I had intended on filming the bait run. Well, I knew about 30 minutes in I didn't have a fish and wasn't seeing the surface activity I had seen previously, that probably wasn't going to work out for video that day. So I just turned video off, and I ended up grinding out and getting enough for a catfish trip. But I kept having some bad luck. Like, you know how that fish right there, we went to lift it up and he popped off and landed in the kayak? I had a few fish like that popped off and landed beside the kayak but outside. So I was having some bad luck, and I was catching some largemouth too that was too short to keep. But I got enough bait for the next catfish trip, and I went out, and I'd been told, a buddy of mine, he'd been down to Chattanooga and fished on nickajack at a place that I filmed some videos at previously. And he said, man, you need to go back down there. He said, we're tearing them up. Like, we're getting big fish, like left and right, like it's on. And you don't have to twist my arm to go down there. It's a great fishery. I love going down there. I've had a lot of big fish caught down there. So I went back down. And you know how people will tell you, you should have been here yesterday type thing. The bite was on yesterday. I went down there, y'all. I think it was the worst day of fishing I've ever had on nickajack. I had 2 bites in about 4 hours. I guess my buddy had caught all the big fish or something. And he sent me pictures too. It wasn't like he's lying to me. Oh, here we go. Let's see what this is. I think this might be another white bass. It's out here toward the entrance of this creek. Okay, let's see what we got. I'm pretty sure I ain't seen him yet. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a white bass. The way he's fighting, yeah. We'll take him. Come on in, Mr. White Bass. We might need to check our other bait, our other lure there, make sure it ain't got weeds on it or something, since this rod here keeps getting hit. But nice. Nope, about dropped him too. That wouldn't have been good. Throw him back there. Let's get our lure back out. Well, folks, 2 white bass and a skipjack in that short of a distance there in that creek. That may be where we want to focus our time. Let's just run on down. That wind just hit me right there. It's supposed to pick up today. I was hoping it'd leave us alone for a while. But anyway, I go down there, and that fish, he got water in my face. He got some on your lens there too, didn't he? My fiction's up there. But I go down there to Chattanooga, man, and just had a lousy day of fishing. 2 fish in about 4 hours, 2 bites. And I said, boy, I gotta, you know, I don't like following other people's bites anyway. Like, I like doing my own thing. And every time I follow somebody's bite, I get a tip like that. And again, he wasn't lying to me, man. He sent me pictures, and I believe he ain't one of them type friends that's gonna dick around or anything. Like, if he tells me something, it's the gospel. But every time I try to follow somebody's bite that's giving me a tip of some kind, like, I don't typically do well. It's always a situation, well, you should have been here yesterday. And so I pretty much just like doing my own thing, but nevertheless, I went out last week with the intention of filming a bait run, and I ended up having to grind to get the bait. They were here, but I just wasn't seeing the surface activity that day that I had seen previously. And the catfish trip was, 2 bites in 4 hours. I was like, let's scrap it. I don't want to post that, because it wasn't like they were big fish even. They were okay. I mean, they were decent, but they weren't big enough to justify filming that long. You know what I mean? So scrap that. And then so I was like, well, I used my bait, part of it there in Chattanooga, and I come back, we had some foul weather, and so I went carp fishing, so that was the last trip there. And I had a productive day carp fishing, but I thought I'm gonna try to film a bait run out here again, because it's been, and well, that was a big splash. I don't want to jinx it, certainly, because it's kind of been like that all summer. If I do get on skipjack for a day or two, it's like they're gone. They're here today, gone tomorrow. But I had some productive trips out here, and then even though I had to grind on that last bait run out here, and I wasn't seeing the surface, which I'm not seeing, honestly, not seeing any surface activity yet today either. But they're obviously here. And it was kind of like that on that last bait run. It's like I wasn't seeing the surface activity, but I was catching, so I was hooking some fish. I was getting some nips at my baits where you could see your rods get hit and stuff. Like then they wasn't hooking up, but it let me know that they were there. And so, I don't know, it is discouraging though. I would have thought by now, even the day where I wasn't seeing as much surface activity, I was seeing more than what I'm seeing out here right now. So, maybe this bite's petering out too. Maybe I'm on the tail end of this bite also. It's been a weird year for bait. Weird year. It was fine in the spring. They made their spawning run. I had, what was that over there? Oh, it's them damn squirrels. Look, I'm busting through that yard right there. I thought something had us. The spring bite for skipjack was good. It was normal. I mean, you know, they made their run about the same time of year they normally do. I got them in good numbers. Easy peasy. And usually in years past, what I do is I follow them back downriver as they make their way down. They kind of move in a predictable way, and they'll be at certain places at a predictable time. And not this year. Either my timing's been off, and if my timing's been off, it has been off by a lot, because I have circled back to some places that, you know, I've hit some places like a month after when I would normally get fish there just to see if maybe the bite was a little late. And I've hit other places 2 to 4 weeks ahead of time when I would expect fish to be there just to see if maybe they got there a little early, and they ain't nowhere to be found. Like I said, it don't matter where I go, I ain't been able to get on them. So it's kind of just been a, you know, kind of a crapshoot. So I've been hitting some different type places. In this area here, I've certainly caught them at before, but you know, this time of year, I come out here and recently, and so I'm just going to just poke around, lack of a better option, you know, see what's going on. And thankfully, I've got on some and just man, that's part of catfishing though. You just got to grind. Catching bait's oftentimes harder than catching the catfish themselves. As crazy as that is, you know, that's why I appreciate carp fishing so much, I think, since I've gotten into it, because I can just go to the store and get a few ingredients and some worms and be set and have a damn good time, and have not only a chance at catching fish, but have a chance at catching good numbers of fish and good quality fish. Whereas with catfishing, sure, I can go get me a pack of chicken from the grocery store. I can do that. That's fine. But do I have a reasonable expectation when I go out that I'm going to hook into a monster? Some of you out there may have enough confidence in chicken to think that you can, and you know, more power to you if you do. We're going to circle back through here. I think we're going to focus our time up here on this other creek, and that's where our most action has come from, other than the back of this creek where I launched at, but there were people back there, so we'll focus on this one up here. And this point right here, it comes off this creek. runs out that way, we'll swing out there and work beside it on our way back to this other creek. But you know, catfishing's it's a type of fishing, like you gotta be pretty proficient at catching other species of fish just so that you can go after the catfish that you want to catch. Because I mean, baits like chicken will catch you fish. You'll get a lot of small fish on it, and occasionally we'll hook a big fish. And in some bodies of water, it seems like chicken works better than others. You know, a lot of people over in Santee Cooper do really well on chicken as far as big fish goes. But where I typically fish on the Tennessee River, chicken's just, it'll get you small fish, but you don't hear of a lot of people catching big fish on it. Sure, every year there'll be that story in a newspaper, some little girl on a Barbie, Snoopy fishing pole, whatever, using a piece of hot dog or chicken liver catches a huge fish. You hear stories of that. We've all heard stories of it, and they're true, okay? But that's the exception, not the rule. That's an outlier situation. That's not a bite that you're going to be able to replicate on a regular basis. Going to your local park with a Snoopy fishing pole and a piece of hot dog and casting it out 10 feet from the bank, do you really expect to catch a huge flathead every time you go out there? Probably not, okay? I mean, it happens, but you're not going to replicate that bite on a consistent basis. And that's what I want to do. The why I use the baits that I use, because every time I go out, I want to try to put myself in the best position to succeed. And to do that, to catch quality fish on a regular basis, you need a quality bait. And around here, this time of year, specifically, skipjack and white bass is what's going to get it done. Now, white bass is more of a summertime bait for me. I don't do as well with it other times of year, but right now, this hottest part of the year, this post-spawn bite where it's usually mid-July through August, early September, that time period where the water's super hot, fish are off the nest, they're hungry, they're aggressive, they're trying to get their weight on, that's a great time period to be using white bass. Once we get into some cooler weather, you know, later September, October, it kind of depends on the year. East Tennessee can be 80 plus degrees in October, or it can be significantly cooler. You never know, year by year. But once the water starts to cool a little bit, the white bass, as bait, it won't be as good a bait. Skipjack's pretty much good year-round. There's not a bad time to use skipjack. Other baits like shad, for instance, I do much better in the wintertime when water's cold. Crappie's another one I do much better on winter, early spring. Now, if you got a live white bass or a live yellow bass, that's a good bait pretty much anytime. Live bait kind of supersedes my bait rules, if you will. If it's live, it can be a good bait anytime. But as far as cut bait goes, what kind of oils and bloods you're putting out in the water when you're cutting those baits, it's kind of seasonal for me. I think we're going to focus on this creek here, y'all. I'm just still not seeing, how far are we into this here? We're almost 40 minutes in since I've turned the camera on. So even though it's still dreary out here, the sun is technically up at this point. And when I have seen the surface activity going on, it had started by now on the other recent trips. So I'm beginning to think that maybe we're not going to see it today. But we at least know there are some fish in this creek, having caught 2 white bass and a skipjack in this creek on that, basically all coming out back out toward the channel here, this direction. We know that there are some fish in there. They're not alone. Skipjack and white bass, they're schooling fish. They're not going to be in there all by their lonesome. Because here's the facts, okay? What we're doing with these spoons is we're representing a shad that has been separated from its school. It's frantic, it's panicking, and that makes it an easy meal for a predator fish like a skipjack or a white bass. That's how they're going to feed. They try to bust up those schools of shad to get individual fish isolated from it so they can eat them. But here's the thing. In this body of water, there's striped bass and there's muskie. So while skipjack and white bass are predator fish in their own right, like they're chasing shad, they're eating other fish, like they are a predator. Because there are larger predator fish than them in here, they're also prey. And so kind of the same thing as the shad not wanting to be separated from its school, not wanting to be isolated because it's an easy target. Same thing with the white bass and the skipjack. When they get isolated, they are at risk for getting eaten by a larger fish. So when you find one, you can better believe there are more very close by. Now they're always moving. We make another pass through this creek. We may not get those. If we catch more skipjack or white bass, we may not get them in the same place because they're moving around, they're following the bait, but you can better believe that there's some more in here. And it'll be interesting to see if we get any going. We didn't get anything going down this direction the first time. And then we turned, and that's when we got the other fish. So sometimes you'll notice that, and I've noticed that with catfish too, when I'm dragging baits. You pull one direction, you get bit. You go right back through them, going the other direction, nothing. You turn around again, boom, you get bit. It's like they're keyed in on something a certain direction. We got something right here. I think that might be another. I think that's another baby skipjack. Hopefully he'll pop off here. When you want them to shake off, they won't. There he went. Too little for us. All right, let's get back on the move. Too small. He'd make a good live bait size if you could keep the dang things alive, but you just can't without a big bait tank. Some of the fishing guides and fellas with bigger boats and stuff, they'll use like 100-gallon plus size bait tank in their boats, and they can keep a few alive in that situation. But when I'm running a bait tank here in the kayak, I'm running 5 gallons, and you ain't keeping skipjack alive for any length of time in that thing. They die almost instantly. They're not a hardy fish at all. And every time I bring up something with live bait or about skipjack, there's always going to be people chime in and say, well, Justin, why don't you get you one of these floating fish baskets and put it beside your kayak and pull it along? And I've had people send me emails and tag me in social media posts of these. It's like homemade DIY contraptions. It's almost like a big wire cage with pool noodle on top, or a closed laundry basket with pool noodle on top, and say, Justin, get this, pull it behind you. I always know when I get a comment or a message or email like that, that person's never been in a kayak before. Because if they had, they would know, you try pulling anything like that behind your kayak. And I know, you think of like a wire cage, like water is gonna flow through it, right? That's what you would think. Those things cause so much drag. You are slowed down so much, like it's it's not worthwhile. Not worthwhile at all. And in that situation, again, skipjack, you can't put them in a bait tank for any, not a small bait tank anyway, for any length of time, because they'll die. So I would have to, in that situation, catch my bait and then be going catfishing right after on a very close proximity to wherever I would be catching the bait at. And, you know, somewhere like today, like I'm catching these skipjack here, I'm going to be fishing a completely different body of water tomorrow. Like I'm not going to be catfishing here. So it's just, you know, I appreciate people trying to help me out, certainly, but I always know who's been in a kayak and who ain't with some of the tips and advice that I get. I've tried just about every type of contraption, man. I've thinking back on it through the years, I had like and I may even have a video still on my channel, or I might have deleted it, I don't know. It was one of my first videos, but at the time I was using almost like a torpedo style bait tube. It was a big piece of PVC, and cut some holes in it, drilled some holes in it, and took a heat gun, got a cap for one end, like one of them screw-on caps for one end, so you'd have like a lid, and the other end made it like with a heat gun, made it pointed like a torpedo, and attached a string to it, and I could pull it through the water. And again, it caused resistance. You'd be slowed down half a mile an hour, 1 mile an hour range, even with something more aerodynamic like that, or water dynamic, or whatever the term I can't think of, but you know what I'm trying to say. And I used it for a while and didn't like it. And then I had a bait bucket that was, part of it would be, had holes in the side and pool noodle around the top. And so what I could do with it was put it in the kayak when I'm going spot to spot. When I got where I was going, drop it back in the water. Water would come in those holes that I drilled up the top of it. It would have enough water, you know, midway down in the bucket here to keep your bait alive, going spot to spot. And then you could put it off to the side of the kayak once you got there. That was okay, but you couldn't really transport in your car like that, because the bucket, the upper half of it, had the holes in it. So whatever size your bucket was, you had half the water capacity when you took it out of the water. So it wasn't really very effective. And what I ultimately just stuck with was just the 5-gallon bucket with an aerator. And if you don't overpack it and you use hardier type baits, your bluegill, crappie, yellow bass, drum, things that typically stay alive a little better, and you keep that water cool, then you can keep some baits alive for 2 or 3 days. And so that works good enough for me. I don't use live bait a ton. Not that I wouldn't necessarily like to use it more, it's just a pain to transport. And I've turned the bait bucket over. Oh, there we go. Let's see what this is now. I think this is going to be another white bass potentially. Right, and this one is in the center of this creek. There are some fish right here in this creek. We're not seeing anything surface-wise, but they're here. Come on down, Mr. White Bass. You're the next contestant. We're going to turn you into something big, buddy. These things are fun to catch, buddy. They fight like the dickens. Even on these heavier tackle here, they still put a nice bend in the rod. There we go, another one, pretty good size. Throw this this out again and make our way on back. Yeah, we'll just focus on this creek here for a little while and see if we can get the rest of what we need. A few more laps. If we keep getting them like we have on the last pass down through here, we should be good. But yeah, I've turned over that bait bucket in my car. You know, you'll have that thing in your car. You can't transport it in your kayak, even with your kayak on a trailer. Like you just can't. You can't do it. So when you get back to the car, you got to take your live well, your bait bucket, out of the kayak, put it in your car, which is another reason for using a smaller size bait tank. Even if your kayak is big enough to support the weight of a larger size bait tank, you still got to be able to lift that thing up and carry it, you know, and water weighs about 8 pounds a gallon, so 5-gallon bucket, 40 pounds, manageable. You start going, say a 10-gallon, I used a 10-gallon for a while, tried that out. Hell, it's 80 pounds. And, you know, it's doable, but you ain't gonna like it. And then God forbid, you driving down the road and you gotta lay on the brakes because some 16-year-old girl on her cell phone pulls out in front of you, or you get behind some grandpa going down the road and you come up on them too quick, you gotta lay on the brakes. Well, here goes your bait bucket flying forward. Now you got 10 gallons or 5 gallons, however big your bait tank is, you got that full in your back seat there, all in the carpet and stuff, stinking everything up. Plus you got a bunch of fish flopping around behind you. So it's one of them things. I've settled on the 5-gallon size. It works well for me. I made a DIY lid for it. I've had some questions about that lid. Where can somebody buy one at? And it's a cheap setup I made. I took just a 5-gallon bucket you get at the Walmart or hardware store for $3 or $4. And they come with that plastic lid that you kind of snap into place along the rim of the bucket. And what I did was I cut out an opening around the top of that thing. I just took a knife and shoved down in that plastic lid and cut out the center of it. And I got me just a kayak hatch, like a cheap kayak hatch off of Amazon, 6-inch hatch. And I put it down in that opening that I had cut out on the regular 5-gallon bucket lid and just put like one screw in there to attach it on, hold it in place. And now you've got yourself a lid that you can open up, and we've picked up something here. Picked up a leaf, weeds, both. Looks like both. And keep an eye on these rod tips today, y'all, because if you don't, we'll be pulling along and pulling debris along and not be tempting no fish. But yeah, it's a simple setup to make. You can buy one of them buckets for a few dollars. You can get you a kayak hatch on Amazon for, I think when I got mine, I think it was 12 bucks or something. It's probably went up by now along with everything else, but for 20 bucks, you can have you a pretty nice bait bucket. And then other than that, you just need a pump for it, which I got one of them $20 pumps on Amazon. So you're looking at about 40 bucks. $40 to $50 for the bait bucket that you normally see in my videos. And it's functional, you know, it's certainly not the best, but it's good enough. Good enough for what I do with it. If the day comes, I should say when the day comes that my YouTube days are over, if I'm just being 100% honest with you, I'll probably never use live bait again. For catfish anyway. I probably won't, just because of the hassle. But it's nice for video purposes to mix it up once in a while and use some live bait. It's nice for tournaments occasionally, just be able to offer. Here we go. Oh, that's skipjack back there. Well, they're mixed in here, man. They're right there. This one come right in the middle of the creek too. Right here in the center of the creek, midway back. Skipjack and white bass, they're in it together. There we go. All right, man. We're getting there, folks. We're getting there. It ain't on like Donkey Kong, but we're getting what we need. There you go, Skippy. Now, some of you are probably thinking, well, Justin, you know these fish are kind of in the center of this creek. Why don't you just cast them? Well, with this setup here, you ain't gonna cast with these spoons without putting a sinker on. That would cause us to have to retie. By the time I retie, these fish could move, be somewhere else. The other thing, yeah, okay, that's still running good. The other thing, and why I prefer trolling versus casting in these situations, unless you're just seeing fish, a big pile of them, and you can hit that spot with your cast, I would rather troll, because you're gonna have 2 rods out at all times. You're gonna have 2 opportunities to catch fish versus the 1. I've went on other videos, other bait runs. I won't hash it out again for my regular fishing buddies that come on here in these videos, but it's more efficient to me, at least my opinion anyway. So even an area like this where I feel like we're kind of getting them, we kind of know where some fish are at here now. It's still efficient because we can work this area trolling. This is wide enough through here. We can turn and go right back through without having to reel everything in and cast back out. So, and I'm going up a little bit further here because we did hook that other white bass on up through here on that last pass, that first pass through here. But we were talking about live bait. I did not bring my live bait bucket with me today. I've been dragging lately. That's when, oh, something. He's still after that one on the, he hit it twice. He's gone now. My catfish bite lately has been dragging. Suspend fishing hasn't been as good, although we've picked off a fish here and there suspending while we've been dragging, but that hasn't been good. And just when I'm dragging, I want to use cut bait. You try dragging a live bait, he's going to swim up around your sinker. He's going to have everything tangled up. You kind of just need to be using cut bait when you're dragging. So since that's what the fish have seemed to prefer, the technique they seem to prefer lately, I've been focusing exclusively on cut bait, and it don't hurt my feelings because, again, it is a lot of hassle to transport live bait. And this time of year too, I mentioned there before how you want to try to keep your water temperature cool in that bait bucket. It's going to help keep the baits alive longer, keep them in better condition. Well, when I'm filming this here late August, whenever, I don't know what the date is, but middle late August, it's hot. So it's harder to keep a bait bucket, especially a non-insulated bait bucket like I'm using. It's hard to keep that bait in there cool enough to be, without just having to go out there and put in ice all the time. And I keep bottles of frozen water, ice bottles, in my freezer, like Gatorade bottles and like 20-ounce water bottles. I'll keep a few of them in there, and then just periodically go out there, switch out one of those ice bottles in the bait bucket when the other one's kind of melted off. And it don't take much, you know, 1 20-ounce ice bottle will cool off a 5-gallon bucket pretty quickly and keep it cool for a while. But when it's miserable hot here in the summertime, like it's, you know what I mean? Like it's more of a challenge. You got to do it more frequently, and I just don't want the hassle of it. If we were on a good bite, like a good anchor fishing bite, and the live bait was just getting it done for us, that'd be one thing. But right now it's been dragging cut bait. And I would say the white bass has been outperforming. I could be telling a lie here, but at least in my mind, it seems like the white bass has been outperforming the skipjack lately. And that may be because I've had more white bass than I have skipjack on most trips. Today's kind of been unusual for me lately because I think we've got more, I guess, what, about 50-50 now? No, I think we got more skipjack than we do white bass so far. Either way, lately I've been getting more white bass than skipjack. And so maybe that has played a role in it. Thus far today though, it ain't on like Donkey Kong. Not seeing the surface activity. But they're here, and we get that bait in front of them, we're getting them. So they are willing to eat. And maybe it's I've often wondered this as far as lighting goes, because when I was seeing all that surface activity, it was a short period of time. And last month I was on a bite down by the dam. I'd filmed some videos down there, bait runs. Kind of the same thing, where you'd have a time period from first light, when it first started to getting daylight out, till about the time the sun peeked over the ridge. And then that topwater bite kind of just would fizzle out. And I have to wonder situations like that, if it's a lighting type thing, like a certain amount of light, especially in a body of water that's real clear like this one. We had some rain last night. It's a little bit cloudy, but I mean, normally this body of water is just crystal clear. I wonder if that hasn't played a role. And then you take a day like today where it's cloudy and dreary, and it's still darker out here. It's way darker than it should be for this hour, just because of the cloud cover. I wonder if that plays a role maybe in whether there's going to be surface activity or not. And of course it could be too, just weather related also, you know, with whatever weather system we had that brought that rain and storms last night. Could have affected the pressure, or who knows. Them fish may have been feeding all night long for all I know. They may have loaded up yesterday before the weather moved in, possibly. May still be a little bit full today. It's a great mystery, who knows? At the end of the day, it really don't matter, you know. All you can do is try to put your baits where the fish are. And you do that long enough, or you're trolling, you cover enough water, you eventually you'll grind it out. Some days easier than others. But it's just a matter of putting your time in. And you know, and I'm gonna beat this horse till it's completely dead. But you don't have to have a bunch of fancy gear to do it. I mean, I'm out here today, pedal kayak. Yes, I have a graph on it now. It's not turned on, we're not even using it. I have rod holders mounted. That's helpful to keep things out to the side. We don't have to have them because the kayak itself has these molded in rod holders in the back we could be using. You can do this on a very basic, simple setup. You don't have to spend a fortune. Now my other kayak, and the kayak that I'm ultimately going to be building when I switch, it's going to be high dollar. You know, this is my favorite kayak here that I've ever had. It's the most fun platform to catch fish off of that I've been in. But I want one kayak like this, basic minimalist, that I can launch anywhere. And I want one that's rigged out to the max. And my next one, it's going to have all the bells and whistles. It's going to be rigged out to the max and, you know, high dollar setup. But you don't have to have that. You can do very well for yourself in a kayak like this, pedal drive. You can paddle if you want to. Pedal's certainly easier. But you can have a dang good time and be very productive in a basic setup. You don't have to keep up with me or any of the Joneses out there with the other rigs to be able to go out and catch your bait and catch catfish. I've caught a bunch of catfish in this thing. I got a lot of videos now of me using 2 rods and a dumbbell for an anchor in this kayak and wrecking some fish. So I already know the flack I'm going to get when I unveil that new kayak, when I eventually get it. I know it's coming, but I hope I've put out enough videos with this setup to prove that you just don't need it there with that leaf. I enjoy this kayak more. Again, here's another situation, just like the live bait. When my YouTube days are eventually over, I will probably be in a very basic, simple setup like this all the time. When I don't have that pressure to, you know how it is sometimes, you got a stretch of bad weather, or maybe you're in a slump and you're just not fishing very well, you're not catching much. Okay, there went that leaf. You know, for whatever reason, where you're just not getting it done, you're not being productive. There's a pressure there to succeed. You know, when you got to get a video, when you're trying to keep the lights on at your house, you know, when you've got to perform, you got to catch a fish, you want every tool in the toolbox available to you. Same thing when you're in a tournament. You go down there, you're in a tournament, you're competing with other guys who have all the bells and whistles on their kayaks or boats, whatever kind of tournament it is. Like, when there's money and ego on the line, you want all the bells and whistles, you know. You want to have you don't want to be at a competitive disadvantage to anybody. So, if you're going to fish tournaments, or if you're going to do YouTube at a high level, I think there is a certain pressure there to have all the fancy gadgets and all that crap that you don't necessarily need to go out and have a good time most days of the year. You know, if I could clone myself, let's say I clone myself, one of me fishes out of this kayak all my fishing trips, the other me goes out in the fancy souped up kayak, and this me competes against that me. The me in the souped up kayak's going to win the majority of the year. There's going to be days where I need to cover a little bit more water, or, you know, whatever, you know, pick your reason. But the me in this kayak is still going to do pretty damn good. And you throw out the competition aspect of it. If you just look at it from a fun perspective, the me in this kayak is going to enjoy the time on the water a bunch more. So if it's strictly just about enjoyment only, I'd rather be in this, even if it was less productive overall. But doing what I do, whether it's YouTube here at a high level or tournament fishing at hopefully a high level, I need to try to be as productive as possible at all times. And so that's the reasoning for wanting to have both. when I'm a little bit ahead on videos, or I'm fishing somewhere on a good weather day or close to where I'm launching at, go out in this thing. Enjoy myself, have a good time. When I need to hustle a little bit more, if I need to cover more water, if I'm going to a tournament, take out the other one. But, you know, again, the average casual person maybe getting into kayak fishing, don't look at my other kayak and think, man, I got to have that and no, you don't have to have that. You don't have to have that to be productive. You don't have to have that to have a good time. You don't. You have a dang good time in a much simpler, cheaper setup. Now, I know these pedal kayaks ain't cheap. They're not if you buy them new. But you get online, look around on Marketplace, you can find a really good quality used one, oftentimes barely used, and save $1,000 bucks, $1,500. And they'll oftentimes come with accessories too. You know, like you don't have to go out and buy something new necessarily. So you can get into this sport and have a good time with it on a budget if you want to. You can also get in the sport and have a $10,000 setup like that too. I mean, it's one extreme to the other is possible. It just depends on what you personally want. I'll tell you what I personally want right now, some more fish. We made another pass through that creek and they seem to be gone. I think they moved. Let's go back out here toward the main channel just far enough at least where we can see if we see any kind of activity going on at all out here. I kind of want to run back down the other creek, see what's going on there, but if them people are still there, I don't want to encroach on them, and I've got access to anywhere we want to go out here, and they're kind of stuck on that one spot there because of the overhanging trees and whatnot. So here, okay, speaking of pedal kayaks, this is something I wanted to talk to you all about. This is something, I had an idea. And some of you are going to think this is the stupidest thing you've ever heard. And Justin, why are you going to waste time thinking about this or even bringing this up? This is like Suzanne Summers' Thigh Master type thing right here. Is Suzanne Summers, is she still alive or did she die? Seems like I remember maybe her dying or something. Richard Simmons died. I can't remember if Suzanne Summers, Thigh Master, I can't remember if she died or not. Boy, she was hot back in the day. You remember her on Three's Company? I remember seeing that show as a kid. Three's Company had Suzanne Summers, she was Chrissy. And she had Janet, that was the ugly one. And they both lived with Jack Tripper, who was John Ritter, I think was his name. He died young too. He died real young. But anyway, Chrissy, AKA Suzanne Summers, after her days on Three's Company was over, she went on to develop the Thigh Master, which I assume she probably got rich off of. Because I imagine back in the 80s, she probably sold 1 million of those things. Just like Richard Simmons was sweating to the oldies and sold 1 million VHS tapes. I remember my mom having a Richard Simmons VHS tape. She used to sweat to the oldies when I was a kid. Anyhow, I'm way off topic here on where I was going with this. Here's my brilliant idea. I'm gonna try to sell you all some kayaks, what I'm doing, try to do right here. Well, really what I'm gonna do is you fellas that are wanting a kayak and you're having a harder time getting your wife to approve the budget, I'm gonna help you sell her on letting you get a kayak. So, most, men as we age, And I went on a rant about this recently, how men age so much better than women. That video has not come out yet as of the time of me filming this. But I know when it does come out, I'm going to catch some grief from the women in my audience. This left rod was getting tapped over here. He hit it a couple times and didn't hook up. But anyway, I went on a pretty good spiel about the differences in men and women as we age. Hell, women typically, after age 35 or 40, they just go off a cliff. Not always, but on the average, women don't age well. Men, on the other hand, we kind of peak mid-20s, 30 or whatever, and then we have a slow decline usually. And the number one thing that'll, oh, here we go. Got the skipjack. Will he be big enough to want to fool with? I don't think he will. Well, nah, I'm gonna let him go. I could make an argument to keep him. I'm gonna let him go. I tried dragging with him. Even if I put him on hole, one small fish will just rip him off the hook. But anyhow, men, we age better than women. It's just a fact. We have a slower decline physically, at least from an appearance standpoint, from age, say, 30 to 60 usually, than women. Usually women look amazing up through their mid-20s. And then once they hit 35, 40, it's, boy, you run into some girl you ain't seen in 10 years, and you're like, holy cow, what the hell happened to her? You know, you've seen it. You know what I'm talking about. Every one of you has had some ex-girlfriend you ain't seen in forever. You run into her 10 years later at the grocery store, and you're like, boy, I'm glad that didn't work out with me and her, because, boy, she went off a cliff Thelma and Louise style. Whereas men, yeah, we're going to get a little gray in our hair. We might lose our hair. But men can pull off the look. The number one thing that is going to hurt a man with the ladies as he gets a little older is weight. Oftentimes, as we get, I know for me, after about 35, definitely now that I'm in my early 40s, you start packing on a few extra pounds. We're just not as, you know, again, on the average, there's obviously exceptions to the rule, but on the average, we're not as active as we once were. Life happens. A lot of it's out there. You got family, you got kids, you got work, you got obligations. You can't be as active of a lifestyle as what you could when you were younger. Energy level obviously declines as we get older, so we don't have necessarily the energy and motivation to get out and be active like we were when we were younger. And this is a better fish right here. I think this might be another white bass, and he feels like a good one. He just buried this rod, man. He buried it. This one was kind of on the edge of these trees that's coming out over here. No, that's not a white bass either, I don't think. What is this? That's a skipjack that I think we've side hooked. Okay, we did. Oh, don't pull out, buddy. Don't pull. I don't want to lose him. I hooked him. I hooked this daggone thing right in the stomach. Hey, you know what? It may not be considered an official catch, if we was in a tournament or something, but you know what? They ain't no skipjack tournaments. We out here to get bait, and he'll go in the cooler all the same, by gosh. Another situation where it's better to be lucky than good. Let me reel this one in. What the hell's these people doing behind us over here? I don't know if they hollering at me or if they hollering at each other over there. Ain't no telling. They best leave us the hell alone. We got fish to catch. Let me get spun back around. We'll cast these back out. Yeah, we got lucky right there. The other day I kept getting unlucky. I'd hook a fish, go to lift it in, and he'd spit it and fall beside the kayak. We had that one pop off earlier and drop straight down to my transducer area. And now that one, we managed to hook in the belly and still get in. I'll take it. Matters not to me, man. We just need to catch them. We just need to get them, that's all. I can't remember where I was at now with my story / sales pitch / best idea ever. I can't remember. I broke my train of thought. That fish splash water all over you. No, you still look good. Well, you got a little bit right there. It's dried. Let me get that. Beautiful. I done broke my train of thought now. I can't remember where I was going with it. Between the fish and the people hollering. This idea though, I'm gonna sell you on this plan I got. And it's gonna help you fellas talk your old ladies into letting you have a kayak. She may even go buy you one out of her. She may get in her own pocketbook and go buy you one when I'm done with this spill today. But I was trying to drive home a point that I can't remember what it was now. I've done lost it again. This happens to me all the time. I'll get mid-story, catch a fish, and then forget the whole story I was telling usually. I've got to get some, that's another thing that happens is us fellas start to age, we start to lose our minds. The memory ain't what it used to be, along with the energy. That's what I was going on about, energy levels. But anyway, yeah, the ginkgo biloba, buddy, I need some of that because I break my train of thought and then I can't remember what day it is. Let's turn right here. These fish seem to have moved out a little more maybe from what they were there earlier. I saw one jump out there toward the creek mouth. Yeah, we'll turn, head back this way. That's what I said, they're always on the move. You know, we was getting them midway back here there for a minute. And now the last ones we've got have been out here, so. That's why I like trolling so much, is they're always on the move, you're always on the move, and you eventually just keep running into them. Whereas if you sit there and you try to cast, it's great if you're seeing them and you're catching them, but if they're not there, you could just be casting to empty water. You know, it's not a good use of your time unless you know they're there. But anyway, back to my sales pitch here. I'm gonna sell y'all some kayaks today. So as men, as we age, energy level declines, we have less free time. Even though from a physical attraction standpoint, we age much better than women, there's still some exceptions. And the big exception with men is weight. A lot of men, as we get older, especially after 35, 40 years old, whereas women just drop off a cliff from just looks, you know, everything. Men typically will still look pretty good overall. Even if we lose our hair, if it starts to turn gray, we can rock that look way better than women. But we will put on some weight. And most men typically carry some weight around their belly, if you notice. At least here in the South anyway. We call them Dunlop bellies because they done lopped over their belt. When you are having this go on, this transition in life where you're getting a little older, you're not as cut as you used to be. Oftentimes I think it's just a realization that we make amongst ourselves as men. It's like, well, you know, I'm putting on a few extra pounds here. I'm not carrying this weight as good. I got a little more flab and a little less tone. I should do something about it. And what happens with people? They go buy a gym membership. And they go at it hard for about 2 weeks. And then they start to lose a little motivation. And a month later, they've stopped going. They're locked into a year membership, but they ain't been in 11 months. Like it's over. Like they just, and then that, I don't know if you call it failure, but just that, well, it kind of is. It's a failure to follow through with their goal that they had set for themselves. When that happens, then there's kind of maybe a level of defeat in your mind, like, well, maybe this weight isn't so bad, or, you know, I just can't, you know, start making excuses and whatnot. And then, so that weight that they had, it doesn't come off, and you just keep adding to it and adding to it. And by the time you're 45, 50 years old, you've got a ton of extra weight on. And then you've just kind of lost all hope, oftentimes. I mean, you see, here in the South especially, you see some really unhealthy people that are still relatively young, in their 40s. Well, you see it a lot earlier in life here in the South, but, you know, just across the board, you'll see people that are really unhealthy, but they'll still be young. And it's because of their weight. And you see other people too, you know, some people buy the gym membership. Some people then will buy a piece of exercise equipment. Maybe it's an elliptical, maybe a treadmill, Peloton, whatever the hell whatever the modern day Thigh Master is from Suzanne Summers. You know, that was the hot ticket item back there in the 80s. Everybody was sweating to the oldies and doing the Thigh Master. Nowadays, right now, it's like Peloton or whatever's the hot thing. Bottom line is, all this crap will work if you use it, but the problem with using it is lack of motivation. Who the hell wants to sweat to the oldies? Nobody. Nobody. You'll do it once, maybe. You'll do a Thigh Master once. You might go to the gym for a month, but unless you're just really into lifting weights and working out, you're probably not going to stick with it because it's not fun. Your time is limited. Your energy level is limited. And we get older, let's face it, we want to spend what little time we have and what little energy we have on stuff that's fun and enjoyable, right? And so for most of us, that ain't going to be riding the elliptical for an hour a day. Okay, it's just not. So I'm going to make one more lap through this creek here. I'm going to go down this way. Maybe go down in front of these couple docks, circle back. We'll make one more lap through here, and I think we're going to go get some ultralight fishing done, and hopefully run into some skipjack or white bass while we're ultralight fishing. But, you know, we just, if you got limited time and energy, you don't want to spend it doing something that ain't fun, that you don't enjoy. It just, working out, if you don't enjoy it, it just becomes another job. And you probably already, I mean, statistically speaking, you probably hate your job right now. Like 80% of the world hates their job. So you're not alone. If you feel like, if every day you wake up to go to work, it's the worst day of your life, as that movie Office Space, as the guy in it would say, you're not alone. Like, that's common. That's just how it is. I'm very fortunate in what I'm doing here, that I get to enjoy what I'm doing, but most people don't. And when my job I had before this YouTube crap took off, I hated it, man. Every day you get up, like, God almighty, I don't want to go to work today. And you get done and you're like just zapped. You know, you don't want to do anything but just go home and veg out. And that takes its toll on you physically. So here's my sales pitch. Here's my proposal. Now that we've discussed that and you know where I'm coming from here. I'm not a Billy Mays ShamWow, okay? I can't do an infomercial in 90 seconds and sell you on this product and idea. I can't do it. I don't look like Suzanne Summers, you know? I'm not a hot blonde that was the star of a major sitcom back in the 70s. I can't do this. But what I can do is hopefully elaborate, prove a point here, and then pitch you on this idea. So, you talk to physical therapists, you talk to doctors, personal trainers. Most of them will tell you, obviously exercise, very important. The more muscle mass we can keep later in life, the better you typically are physically. People who are active and work out, on average, live longer lives, and they live more healthy to later ages in life. That's fact, okay? That's statistics, okay? But you talk to doctors and physical therapists and personal trainers, and most of them will tell you some of the best exercise you can get is going for a walk. Getting out, walking 30 minutes to an hour a day. You getting outside, you're breathing fresh air, you're getting vitamin D from the sun, you're getting some cardiovascular activity, you're moving, you're working your joints, your limbs, like, it's good for you. If all you can do is walk, going for a walk 30 minutes an hour a day, you're gonna be so much better off physically than somebody who's just working that 12-hour shift at the job they hate and going home and plopping down in front of the couch on Netflix for the rest of the night. Okay, you are. What if, though, instead of going for that walk, you went for a pedal? Hear me out on this, okay? Hear me out on this. Now, I'm out here this morning. How long have we been at this now? 92 minutes, according to my camera. So an hour and a half, I've been moving pretty much nonstop, with the exception of reeling in a few fish here and there. But I've been continuously pedaling at a casual kind of walking pace, if you will. Now, is it the same as walking? No, it's not. But kind of the same concept, where I've got some cardiovascular activity, just light cardiovascular movement. And in addition to this, because of the seat angle and the way I'm pedaling, I'm working my lower abdomen right now. Like, I can feel as I pedal, I can feel my lower abdomen engaged. Going back to what I was saying about how men age, where do most men carry a lot of their extra weight? In their belly. Their love handles, right? Got the Dunlop belly. Every time I'm out here pedaling, I'm working on that a little bit. In addition to getting some exercise and having some fun, getting a little cardio in, working on that Dunlop belly. So, what if, when you make that commitment to work out, and most people, look, you make that commitment, and we've all done this at some point, as we start to get a little older and put on a little weight, like, oh, you know, I've got this extra hour. I'm going to get up an hour early and go to the gym before work. Or when I get off work, I'm going to go work out for 30 minutes to an hour, right? We've said it to ourselves. You might have bought the gym membership. You might have bought the treadmill or elliptical or the Peloton, maybe a Thigh Master in the 80s. You've said it. You've dedicated the time in your mind to it. You've cleared out your schedule, your agenda, your calendar, whatever, to do it. It just then becomes a matter of actually doing it. And most of us won't At least not for very long, because once we start and we don't get that immediate result, which you don't, you're not going to drop, this ain't the Biggest Loser TV show, you know, you're not going to drop 50 pounds in a week because they're just dehydrating your ass. That ain't how it works in real life. You're going to lose that weight slowly over a period of time if you keep going. But when you don't get those immediate results and you're not having fun with it, and random life stuff just pops up, you know, unexpected birthday party your kids got to do, or school event, or whatever, you break that routine and you just don't go back. The key to it, I feel like, is you've got to have fun. You have got to enjoy whatever it is you're doing. And when it comes to something like what I'm doing out here today, pedaling this kayak, I enjoy doing this. And if you're watching this channel an hour and a half in to a bait run video, well, guess what? I'm guessing you probably enjoy fishing too, right? And there's this thought, and I guess it's just a cultural thing with us, really, because how we've grown up. You know, used to, you're a kid, you go fishing. You're probably going to go fishing with your dad or your grandpa on a Saturday, and you're going to be out there all day, right? So in our minds, how we've been raised up, how we've done it our whole lives, is when you go fishing, it's an all-day event. Well, most of you ain't got all day, right? You go to work 5 days a week, you got a wife, kids, girlfriend, whatever, you got other responsibilities. You might get 2 or 3 days of fishing a month for a full day. But what if you don't have to go for a full day? What if, instead of thinking about fishing from a full day, like, what if, take that extra hour you was going to get up early and go to the gym, instead of doing that, instead of driving to the gym, you drive to the lake. And you take your brand new pedal kayak that you've talked your wife into letting you have, because it's not a kayak anymore, it's an exercise machine. You take it over to the lake, and instead of going to that gym for an hour, you pedal for an hour. And while you're pedaling, maybe you throw you out some fishing lures. Spoons today, maybe you throw out a jig or a small swim bait or a curly tail grub. Doesn't matter. Pick your lure. You're trolling along, you're pedaling, you're getting your workout in, and you're going to catch some fish too. You know what I mean? Like, you know, stick with small lures that can be trolled at 2 to 3 miles an hour, that you're going to be moving as you pedal along. You're going to catch some fish, and catching fish is fun. So you're going to be getting your workout in, and you're not even going to be thinking about getting your workout in because you're fishing. Now, again, this is a limited time. Maybe you've got an hour a day for 3 days a week, 4 days a week, whatever, that you can allot to this. Whatever gym schedule you had mapped out for yourself when you bought that membership or bought that Peloton. But if you do that, get on the water. So what that you don't have all day? Maybe you got 30 minutes to an hour. You go over to the lake. You're going to unload your kayak. That's movement. That's physical movement, okay? It's not super heavy. Some kayaks are. But nevertheless, you are going to be lifting that kayak off your roof rack, into your truck, whatever you have, a trailer if you got it. You're going to be lifting it. So you're going to be using muscles that you don't use on a regular basis. You're getting some movement in your joints when you do this. You get on the water. Let's say you got an hour. Maybe you pedal 30 minutes this direction, 30 minutes back. There's your hour workout in. Now, is it high stress, like a weightlifting session? No. You got some trainer on the Peloton machine yelling at you, telling you to push harder? No. But if you know your mentality, your personality, like if you're honest with yourself, and you know, if you look in the mirror and you have an honest chat with yourself and say, am I the type of person who's going to follow through? If I get that gym membership, am I actually going to go and stick with it? If I buy that Peloton, am I going to do the Peloton class 5 days a week, 3 days a week, however long that you're committed to? Are you really going to do it? Now, if you are, and some people are, some people can get real motivated like that. Great. More power to you. But if you are that type of person, chances are you've probably not put on those extra pounds to begin with, right? Let's just be real, you probably haven't, because you've probably been motivated to do that stuff all along. But for the average casual person, getting a little older, putting on a few pounds, you stand there in front of that mirror and you have a chat with yourself like, if I buy this gym membership, am I really going to stick with it forever? Okay, because that's what you need to do. It ain't about just losing a few pounds. You need to maintain that healthy lifestyle long term. So unless you're really into going to the gym, into the elliptical, the treadmill, whatever, you need something you're going to stick with long term. And that's why it's imperative that you enjoy it. You have to enjoy it to be able to stick with it for a long period of time. And so going back to just one of the best exercises that you can do is just going out and going for a walk for 30 minutes to an hour a day. Get outside, breathe the fresh air, get the sunshine on your skin, and get some cardiovascular activity. It's excellent. It's amazing for you. Do that in a kayak. Okay, good. We got another fish here. Another skipjack. Been a slow morning out here for the fish, y'all. Slow morning thus far, but we're getting enough. Never did see that surface activity that I'd hoped to see. Come on in, Skippy. All right, we got another one here, folks. Never saw the surface activity today. It just hasn't happened. Oh, we've hooked him down in the gills. He's gonna fling blood all over us. Y'all get this thing unhooked. Oh, I'm wearing a bunch of blood now. Thanks, Skippy. The hook's out. It went between the gills. Dadgummit. Bear with me a second here, y'all. I gotta get this hook before he starts flopping again and sling. He's already flung blood all over me. Dadgummit. Let's see if I can get this thing with the pliers. What'd you do that for, Skippy? There. Get that cooler before you can fling blood again. Lord almighty, he's made a mess all over me, y'all. Lordy days, folks. Let me put my foot in the water here and wash that blood off there. I gotta look at the camera here. Did he get blood all over you? No. I feel like I'm wearing it in my face. I can't get the screen on. I don't know if I'm just gonna own it. I can't tell on that screen if I got it or I don't. I feel like I do. Oh, Skippy. All right, this one's down on bottom. Let me reel it in right quick. Okay. We're down here toward the back of this creek. Let me just spin us around down here and we'll cast these things out again and get going. And I think this time I'm gonna keep going. The wind is still pretty good right now. I don't know how many baits we've got in the cooler there, but I'm gonna try to just go do some ultralight fishing. I'm in the mood. Not seeing the activity here with the white bass and skipjack that I had hoped. It's just par for the course on these damn bait runs. I get on a bite and I think it's gonna last, and then it don't. It's here today, gone tomorrow, but there are some here. They're just not as active as I would like them to be. I would have liked to have already been done catching bait, but I think we've got several now. I definitely got enough for one trip, maybe two. I may keep a few bluegill or something, or yellow bass, or whatever we get while we're ultralight fishing. I may keep a few of them. Supplement, you know. Let's let this one back out. Plus, we may pick off some more on our way over here. I'm gonna pick one of these shorelines to go work. It don't matter to me. I'll let y'all pick right or left. I don't care. We'll catch fish either way. we go. I still feel like I got blood all over my face from that skipjack. I hope YouTube don't dig me because he was a bloody mess when we finally got him in the cooler. But anyway, back on my exercise program routine here. You've got to stick with it long term. It needs to be part of a healthy lifestyle, quote unquote, as they call it. So you can't just go to the gym a couple weeks. You can't go ride the elliptical long enough to lose 10, 15 pounds, however much you need to lose, and then just quit and go back to your old lifestyle. It's not, you're just going to revert back. You need something you can stick with long term. And if you're the type of person who's watching this video, you're probably into fishing. So why not, instead of going for that walk 30 minutes to an hour a day for 3, 4, 5 days a week, why don't you get you a pedal kayak, take it to the lake, and spend that hour that you would have spent at the gym or on that walk pedaling and catching some fish. You know, there's a lot of fish species you can catch at 2.5, 3 miles an hour. And if you want to, as you get in better shape, or maybe you want to spend 10 or 15 minutes of your little fishing workout routine, and you want to ramp it up, and really dig the pedals, really grind, like, you can do that. Throw you a rattle trap off the back, some lure that you can swim a lot faster and catch you some fish with. And I promise you, man, you'll have fun. You'll have a damn good time. You'll catch you a bunch of fish that you wouldn't have otherwise caught, because chances are most of you out there right now are people who maybe you got 2 or 3 days a month to fish. And when you do, you probably go out all day. Change your mindset. Instead of going out thinking you have to have 8 hours available to go out and fish, well, go fish for an hour. Take your kayak, haul it around on your car, if you got a roof rack, or if you got a truck, put it in the back of your truck. You may not be able to take a trailer to work with you, but you know what? If you're doing this as part of a healthy lifestyle, you're wanting to get a workout in as part of your fishing, hauling your kayak on the roof of your car ain't the worst idea, or in the back of your truck, because that movement that you're going to have of getting the kayak down, lifting it back up, it's just helping your body move in ways it doesn't normally move. It's just anything you can do to keep yourself limber, keep the old ticker functioning as it needs to there, cardiovascular wise, like, you're just going to help yourself in the long term. And so I think if you're into fishing enough to watch me flap my gums out here for an hour and a half into this mess, then you're probably the type of person who could benefit, or who would be, I wouldn't say benefit, I don't know, if you may not have any weight problems or whatever. You may be a healthy person, maybe watching this, but I'm just saying you're the type of person who would be interested in catching more fish. And if you're going out there, you're doing something you like, you're getting to do something you like more frequently because of this, and you're having fun. And catching fish is fun, man. It's fun. I don't care what you're catching, unless it's channel cats. Catching fish is fun. You're going to stick with it more. You're going to be I promise you, if you get you a pedal kayak, you're going to stick with this far longer than you would have that gym membership. Now, are you going to lose as much weight? Maybe not. Okay, maybe not. But you're going to get the same amount of exercise and same amount of calorie burn as you would if you went for a walk for 30 minutes to an hour a day. And you're going to focus more with this pedaling motion. You're going to hit that lower abdomen area a little more than what you would on a normal walk. And if you're the type of guy that's carrying a few extra pounds around your belt line there, which a lot of us are after 35, 40 years old and older, you're really going to be working that area specifically for the 30 minutes to an hour that you're on the water. So, again, this may be the dumbest thing. I just went on a 30 minutes about here a damn exercise program like jazzercising. Jazzercising for kayaks. But I think it's important because so many people are unhealthy. So many people out there tell me, man, I wish I could fish more. I wish I could get on the water as often as you do. I hear that all the time, man. I hear it all the time. Life happens, especially as we get older. Your time is, everybody's pulling at your time. But if you can just commit to 30 minutes, an hour, a few days a week, get on the water during that time, man, you'll catch, you may not, they're gonna have skunk days, sure. But if you go out an hour, if you fish or pedal, troll, whatever you want to call it, for an hour a day, 3 days a week, do that all year long, you ain't getting skunked for the year, folks. You're gonna catch a bunch of extra fish. You know, as long as you are pulling some bait that's gonna get eaten regularly. You know, these small spoons, everything will eat them. A small crappie jig, everything will eat it. Any minnow-like bait, a swim bait, a curly tail grub, something a small profile bait that bass and crappie and bluegill and all that stuff's gonna eat, like, you're gonna catch a bunch of fish. You go out 3 days a week, 50 weeks a year, that's 150 days. 150 hours on the water. You telling me you're gonna get skunked for the whole 150 hours? No way. No way. And you're gonna feel better. You're gonna look better. If you'll substitute some other lifestyle changes in with that, you know, when you're out on the water, don't bring a can of Coca-Cola with you, which is just carbonated corn syrup, or a can of Diet Coke even, which is just carbonated fake sugar, or a Gatorade, which is just flavored sugar water and high fructose corn syrup. Bring you a bottle of water out. You know, bring you a piece of fruit out if you need a snack. You know, substitute in some other just healthier lifestyle changes in with your fishing time, your hour a day or whatever that you're going to troll around. Do that. And you won't even notice it. You know, it won't even be like a drastic lifestyle change. You won't even think about it, but you will see improvement over time. And again, it will be most important. This is the most important part. It will be something that you enjoy doing. You will look forward to it. Unlike going to the gym, when you've stayed up late watching that Netflix show, do you really want to get up at 4:30 in the morning to go work out? Probably not. But if you know there's a good topwater bite going on, you may get up then. I can get out of bed a whole lot easier to go fishing than I can for most things. So, I know I've went on about this way too damn long. It's probably the dumbest idea ever. And I'm not trying to sell you on no exercise program. I'm not doing a sweat into the oldies here. VHS tape. But if you were already on the fence about getting you a kayak, maybe it's having a hard time talking your wife into opening up them purse strings and letting you get a little change out the pocketbook there to get you one, maybe this can put her over the top and be like, honey, look, you know, I'm saving money by not buying that elliptical or Peloton, and I'm gonna lose some of my gut, and maybe she'll let you do it. And it may be the best thing that ever happened to you, man. It may be. You'll get yourself in shape, you'll feel better, you'll look better, and you'll have you a ton of fun. And if you're a catfisherman, you get out here and you troll 3 days a week. When you do get them 2 or 3 days a month there that you have to spend a full day on the water fishing, you've already got your bait. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to waste part of your 1 day a week there that you get to go catching bait. You already got it. It's just something to consider. I know I've went on way too long. I've done lost most of the audience about it. But I was thinking about it the other day, you know, because I'd been pedaling for 4 or 5 hours, however long I'd been on the water. I'm like, you know, I see some busting right down there by that tree finally. That's the only surface activity we've seen out here today. It's been dead out here on the surface, man. But Now, I was thinking about the other day, you know, I'd been trolling in the pedal kayak here 4 or 5 hours, and I'm like, man, I've covered a lot of water. You know, I've put in some miles. And again, I'm not exerting myself right now. It's just like I'd be walking. That's what it feels like. I mean, as far as an exertion level. But walking burns calories, and it's good for you. And, you know, it's just, you're out here in the sun and the fresh air in nature. Being outside is good for the soul. It's good for the body. It's good for the soul. And too many of us, you work in some job, maybe in a factory, you're in a warehouse, you're in a hospital, you're in an office, you're cramped up, breathing the same air as everybody else that's just getting recirculated around. Probably mold and all kinds of other crap in the air, and you're not seeing the sun, and eating crap out of the vending machines. And it's just, all those things add up and accumulate over time. And before you know it, you're 45, 50 years old, you got 30 extra pounds around your waist. And you're like, how the hell did I get here? It happens. It happens across the board. But you can fight it off without even really fighting it off if you just find some activity that you enjoy doing, which harder to do as we get older. But if you're watching this channel, you're watching this video, you're probably into fishing. And so I would urge you to consider it. And, you know, these pedal, they're not cheap. But if you find you a good quality used one, maybe you get it for $1,200, $1,500. How much does a Peloton cost? You know, you can get a gym membership for $10 a month, whatever. But if you're going to buy a piece of equipment and have at your house, Peloton, an elliptical, Stairmaster, whatever the hell the Thighmaster of this generation is, if you're going to have a piece of machinery like that, not only is it going to take up a bunch of space inside your house and collect dust, but you're going to be shelling out some money for it. Them things ain't cheap. So all I'm saying is just spend that money. Instead of buying the elliptical, buy the kayak. You know. Anyway, rant over. I'm pretty passionate about it though. I feel like there's a possibility that 2 years from now, I'm going to run into somebody and they're going to have watched this video and they're going to say, Justin, I was on the fence about getting a kayak. I heard you go on that exercise rant. I've been going out 4 days a week fishing. I've caught so many fish, I've had so much fun, and I've lost 30 pounds. I feel like there's a chance that's going to happen. And you know what? I'm going to feel pretty damn good if it does. We'll see. We'll see if it happens or not. I'm going to troll down a little ways here. We're going to turn. I think I'm going to start fishing right over here. I saw some fish busting here along this tree, just a small school of something. Don't know what they are. Seem to be gone now. It's been dead out here surface-wise. I mean, we've caught some fish. But the surface activity that I teased you with there first thing, it's not been anywhere to be found. Just ain't happening, unless it was in the back of this creek or something possibly. But you know, I had them people back there, so I didn't want to go back there and encroach on them or nothing. I don't know. I feel okay with it though. I didn't get it as easily as I would have liked to today. Didn't get as many as I would have liked to. But I feel like we got enough, definitely for a catfish trip, maybe 2. If I'm conservative, we'll keep some, maybe keep some bluegill here or yellow bass, whatever we get down through here with the ultralight, and supplement in if we need to. Now we're going to start fishing down over here. We may get on some skipjack or white bass here with the ultralight too. It's very possible. Before I leave today though, since these clouds are burning off here, it looks like it's gonna be sunny here by the time I leave. Don't let me forget, I gotta get a thumbnail for the carp video yesterday. I filmed that carp video and I used some bananas as part of my pack bait mixture, and I was gonna take a picture of the banana for the thumbnail, and it was a cloudy day, it was real dreary. So I've had a banana under my seat this whole time, which maybe that's part of our bad luck with not seeing any surface activity, is I've had that bad luck banana right here under our seat. But, you know, my friend Daniel, buddy, he don't believe in the curse of the banana. He went out there last year and caught that 80 some odd pound catfish with a banana in his daggone kayak. So I don't know. But I'd always heard forever, bananas are bad luck. But we at least still caught a few with the banana on board today. But I remembered to bring my carp rod with me so I can get my thumbnail on a day with better lighting than what I had there when I finished up the carp trip. It was dreary, and I'm like, that's just not gonna make a good thumbnail. All right, let's get our ultralight rod here. Let's catch us. How many baits do we end up with here? Let's look at this. I had them 2 here before y'all joined me. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe some more in there. Boy, I really didn't get much, did I? Well, that's. I thought I had more than that, but I guess I didn't. Well, we may get one day of catfishing out of it, but it is what it is, man. You just gotta take what the river gives you, and today it wasn't giving us much. Welcome to bait fishing, summer of 2024. And that's just how it's been. Every time I think I'm on to something, the fish say, Justin, joke's on you. The one thing I can always count on, though, is this right here. Ultralight rod. Got a 1/64 ounce size jig head, number 8 hook, number 8 size hook. I'm gonna take a Gulp minnow in the smelt color. Looks like a tiny shad fry. We'll put it on that hook. I've got 2-pound test line on my ultralight rod. This is if you're new to my channel, I've had this rod for ages. It's a St. Croix panfish series, 6 foot long, ultralight. I've got a Daiwa reel, 1000 size. A Daiwa, was that a Regal? I think it is, Regal LT or Regal LT 1000 it says. And we're just gonna take it and we're just gonna start here and just throw at all this crap that we see. Down trees, broken off rocks, just beat the banks. And whatever bites is what bites. I'm sure we'll get a bunch of bluegill. We could run into some crappie, yellow bass, largemouth, smallmouth. I mean, anything's possible because they'll all eat this. And hopefully the wind is calm right now. It is supposed to pick up today, and we were in that creek over there, it blew, had a little gust, but thankfully right now it's calm, so we're gonna take advantage. Let's see what we can get down through here. I've been wanting to do some ultralight fishing, and it's been a while since I posted just a straight up ultralight trip. I've mostly, when I have posted any ultralight content lately, it's been part of a bait run where I've, because I've just had so much trouble getting bait this year. It's cut into my ultralight fishing, honestly, because it's taken me so long, days where I'd like to maybe catch bait and then go ultralight fishing. It's taken so damn long to get bait, or I end up not getting bait and I got to pull out and go somewhere else and try. I just haven't been able to ultralight fish as much. But we'll have us a little fun out here next hour or two. I've got to go visit the parentals today and do a couple things around the house. But you know, this is just my standard trip, like I was talking about with my exercise plan that most of you are probably gonna think's dumb. Oh, something hit me. You grow up with this mindset culturally that a fishing trip is all day. Full 8-hour day. That's a fishing trip. But it don't have to be that way. And for me, I don't like fishing all day. As I've gotten older, I can't sit in a kayak for 12 hours. Okay, here's a fish finally. What do we got here? Fish number 1 on the ultralight. He's a digging. He's headed out toward the, look at him go, buddy. He's a hitting and a getting it over here. He's gonna swim behind us now, I reckon. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is, folks. If it's a bluegill, it's a good one. Is this a white bass, potentially? We might have another one for the cooler. Oh, don't get up under the kayak there. I'm afraid he's gonna cut me off on my prop from the pedals. Yeah, it is a white bass. How about that? There we go. All right. Maybe these fish, we've been out trolling open water, maybe they're up against the bank. All right, man, I'll take it. I've got to net him with that 2-pound line, but there we go, folks. All right, another one for the cooler. Come here, white bass. I'm happy to have you, buddy. Ate him the gulp. That's a pretty good time on that ultralight right there, folks. I used the, there he is. I used the heavier bass tackle when I'm skipjack fishing and white bass fishing and trolling and whatnot. I use pretty stout line. I'm using 30-pound braid and 15-pound fluoro leaders. And I do that so I can horse them when I hook them in, or reel them in, because them skipjack, you know, they'll spit that hook. They come flying up in the air. They're gonna spit that hook if you don't get them in quick. So I you know, I'm doing it from when I'm making a bait run, like you want it to be fun, obviously, but it's also utilitarian purpose. Like I'm out there to accomplish a job, accomplish a task of catching bait. And so I want to horse them fish in. Now on my ultralight, way more fun to catch them, certainly. But you know, when I'm just specifically going after bait, I'm going to use the heavier gear. But this is, if we could get on some white bass here with the ultralight, we're in for a good time. Because they fight hard. They are very hard pulling fish. But, you know, like I was saying, just culturally, you got to get out of the mindset that a fishing trip's got to be 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever. You know, you got to be out there all day long to show you're a real fisherman. Me, man, I want to get out in the mornings during these warm months. I want to put in about 4 hours and get off the water when my body's still feeling good. You know, I don't want to, if I sit in the kayak for 8 hours, I'm not going to feel as good when I get out. Physically, I can do it, but I'm not going to feel as good. When I get off the water today, having fished for 3, 4 hours, 5 hours, however long I end up going, I'm going to still feel good. And I got my whole rest of my day. And so I would rather fish less amount of time per day, but fish more days, than to have one marathon session. And if you're somebody that likes a marathon session, listen, hell, I ain't telling you what to do. Do whatever you want. Do whatever makes you happy. But I'm just saying, too many people out there think, well, I don't have time to go fishing. You know, I've only got 2 hours. from the time I get off work till dark or something, you know. You go fishing. If you can only go 2 hours, you go 2 hours. It don't matter. Now, I may not necessarily, if I only got 2 hours to fish, hell, I may not want to go catfishing, where I got to go travel a distance out from where I launch and anchor down and cut baits and all that. I mean, there's another one. Oh, what's that? Boy, he's jumping around, whatever he is over there. Is that a bass? Is that a smallmouth? Smallmouth. He'll be too short to keep. Got me excited though when he come flying up like that. Got a high flyer this morning. Well, calm down, I'm gonna unhook you, buddy. Come on now. Let me have it before you tear that gulp up. You done flung the gulp off. All that bouncing around, you done gone and done it, smallmouth. Let me hold you out here to the camera there. You're a good looking smallmouth right there, buddy. Let me pull off these rocks here just a little bit. That's a white bass and a small jaw now, right there on them rocks. But yeah, you know, if you got 2 hours to fish, you may not want to go catfishing, where you're going to have to maybe go from where you launch out to the main channel, anchor down, cut up baits. That's going to eat into your time. But you can start fishing wherever the hell you launch at. If you're just pulling a couple crankbaits or spoons or jigs or whatever, catch whatever you can catch, you'll have fun, man. Catching fish, everything except small channel cats, them things will ruin your day. But everything else is fun to catch. And so, just because you may not have 8 hours don't mean you still can't go out and have some fun. And maybe get a little exercise in if that's what you're trying to accomplish. I'm telling you, fellas, you sell your wives if she's having a hard time letting go of that money in her pocketbook to let you have a kayak. Here's another one. Sell her on it helping you lose a little weight and helping you live longer and a more healthy lifestyle, and she won't be able to tell you no. Because then you can be like, what, you don't want me to be healthy? You don't want me to lose weight? You know, she's got no counter argument for it. Oh, bluegill, you got it kind of deep there, buddy. Oh, we got surface activity going on behind us here. Get out here, bluegill. There's surface activity right here behind us. I'm gonna back us up. They were right here, something was right here behind us. I wonder if that wasn't more white bass. Let's see what's going on. It was right here on this point. Let's see, I don't see them now. I'm gonna make some casts over there though. They're probably somewhere in this area. Let's see, I'm gonna sneak up right here. Here today, going tomorrow, man. They were splashing around while I was trying to unhook that bluegill. And it didn't last but a few seconds, and then they're gone. I mostly, when I throw this gulp, you regular fishing buddies of mine, you've seen this, but I'm mostly, when I cast it out, oh, there they are. They're up there on that point now. I normally just let it fall. But when I'm seeing something like this going on, where you've got surface activity, what I want to do in this situation is swim it and try to make it look like a fish that's gotten away from that school, it's gotten separated, and that's what's going to help you. Oh, there's more over here behind. They're all over. That sun just popped out. Maybe that's going to turn on the surface bite right here. We didn't get a damn bite They did. Oh, they're over here behind us, man. They're going crazy behind us. They're gonna back us up. Oh, they were going crazy over here. Oh, he nailed it. I saw him swipe it. I saw him swipe it right here. Boy, that sun popped out. That sun popped out over the clouds and these fish. The surf, look at them going over there. The surface bite just turned on. The lighting changed and the surface bite erupted. They're going bananas over here. Bananas for my banana that's under my seat. Come on, Mr. White Bass. I can't horse him with 2-pound line, but they're going nuts over there. They're still chasing the minnows down the bank. I'll take my time. I don't want to break off. Come here, buddy. Come on. Don't want to rush with 2-pound line. That is when you will lose fish quicker than anything. Got him. Well, folks, we may end up getting a cooler full before it's said and done today after all. We just might. There they go again. There they go again. I just tore my gulp. Can't get him unhooked. I'm in a rush. Boy, this is the best hook. There we go. That's the best hooked white bass I've ever seen. I couldn't have hooked him like that again if I'd caught him another 100 times. Let's get this fixed. I done tore up my gulp trying to get him undone. Get that thing on. I'm in a rush. Okay, let's run right down here. Let's run right down here. They're right down here. Oh, they're out there. They're all over right here now. They have just turned on. This is what I've been seeing right at sunrise, but the sun technically just popped out here 2 hours later, you know. Like it was a cloudy day. It took a while. Of course, I get turned around and come down here. Now they're gone again. What's exciting when you see that many fish busting the surface, though, ain't it? That was a pretty good sized school. They'll probably come back up here again in a minute. Sometimes you can see the school of shad or school of minnows, whatever it is they're eating. Even if they're not busting, you'll see that school of bait fish on the move. And you can kind of follow them and you know that's where they're going to come back up. I'm not seeing those minnows right now, or shad, whatever they are. I hope they come back up though. That's a lot of fish. Even still, we've got us 2 extra white bass now since we just started ultralight fishing. If I could do better with bluegill, and I just don't, I know a lot of yous out there, bluegill's your favorite catfish bait. Every time I say something bad about using bluegill for bait or make a comment about it, people will tell me, we catch big catfish on bluegill all the time. It's our favorite bait. Fish. Oh, I lost him. you know, I'm sure it is in a lot of bodies of water, but it ain't here. It just ain't where I live. Bluegill, you'll catch fish with it, but you don't catch a lot of big fish with it. But I wish, here's what I wish. I wish I could go out ultralight fish whenever I wanted to. Do this right here, because I love doing this. This is one of my favorite ways to fish. Oftentimes, depending on my mood, is my favorite way to fish. I wish I could do this all the time whenever I wanted. Whatever fish I catch while doing it, even though most days it's going to be bluegill. Keep whatever it is I catch from ultralight fishing, and that be my catfish bait. And not have to make specific bait runs. Like, sure, you know, when I'm going out ultralight fishing, maybe I take my bait rods and I troll them behind me to get wherever it is I'm going to be fishing at that day, and troll them back to the car when I'm done, and maybe pick off some fish. So we got another one right here, a bluegill. But do that just as a going from point A to point B type thing. Don't necessarily spend 2 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours just specifically targeting bait while trolling. Be able to have my ultralight fun and get my bait fishing done all at the same time, all the time. To be able to do that, like, man, that would be, I would save so much time as I just pulled that one out of the fish's mouth. It would save me a ton of time. I would be able to go ultralight fishing so much more often. And it ain't, listen, it ain't that I don't like trolling. I do enjoy trolling. It's just I think it's the mind, when you're on a bait run, it's the mindset that you have to do it. Like, you know, if I want to go catfishing, I got to catch bait, so this is what I got to do. Even though I may, I missed another one right there. Even though, you know, maybe one day I wake up and, like today, like I wanted to do some ultralight fishing today. If we were in a situation where maybe I had, let's say instead of catching as many fish as we did, maybe I caught 4. And I needed like 1 or 2 more to just ensure that I was going to have enough to go catfishing with. But it takes me an extra 2 or 3 hours to get that 1 or 2 more. Well, then I've wasted my day. I don't want to say I wasted it, but I've missed my time that I could have been ultralight fishing. So like if I could do it all in one swoop, boy, that would be swell, as Opie Taylor would say. That'd be swell, Paul. But to do that would mean I would have to use bluegill for bait more often, and I just don't do well with it. It's just not a premium bait for me in where I fish in my experience. So I'm gonna go back to letting this thing fall a little more. I'm not seeing any more. They come up for a minute and gone, buddy. Of course, the sun's kind of peeked behind the clouds again. Wasn't that something though? The sun popped out and there the fish was busting like crazy. Very interesting. I swear I think it's, they're beside me over here now. Oh, did you see that bass right there? There was a little smallmouth, a little tiny smallmouth come out after. Something busted right here beside me. I swear I think there's something about the amount of light that will turn these fish on this time of year. It's been too many days where the sun gets up and the bite dies. You know, you're out there on the water before sunrise, and when it gets a certain light, they turn on, and when it gets a little bit brighter, they turn off. Like I have to believe It could be just coincidental, but I don't know. It just seems to, happens too frequently like that. I've noticed it too many times. It's one of them things, you can think about it, overthink it. Just being on the water more will be, you're on the water more frequently, you're going to experience more good bites. But I'm telling you, man, talk to your wife tonight, fellas. When you get home, some of you's listening to this or watching this at work today. You talk to your wife. Replay my hour-long spiel about how I'm going to help you lose weight and get in better shape by getting you a kayak. And she won't be able to tell you no. She'll probably tell you no in the bedroom tonight, but that's just because she's going to claim she's got a headache. But she ain't going to be able to tell you no when you say you want to buy that new kayak, because it's for your health. You go in there, and if she does give you a little blip about it, you go in there to the living room, and you find one of her old Richard Simmons Sweating to the Oldies tapes, and you can be like, look, honey, I knew you wasn't ever going to watch this Richard Simmons VHS tape anymore. It was going to be a one-time purchase, but I didn't stop you from buying it at the Kmart, did I? No, because you were trying to better yourself and get in shape, and I wanted to support you and encourage you, even though in my mind I knew you wasn't ever going to do it. Ain't nobody sweating to the oldies, ain't nobody jazzercising. But you backed her anyway, because you were being supportive. And so now she needs to be supportive of you when you want to get a $3,000 kayak and go pedal an hour a day, 3 or 4 days a week. It's for your health. She can use it too if she wants to. It ain't like a Thigh Master where only a woman's going to use it. Both of yous in that household can use the kayak. I hear them busting somewhere down yonder. I don't see them, but I can hear them. It may be the same daggone school of white bass too. It may be, well, they just made their way downriver. I feel like that wind is starting to pick up a little bit. The wind ain't our friend. If it stays like this, we'll be fine. I just don't want it to be blowing in such a way or such a speed that it's going to put a bow in our line. That's what makes it hard to feel. It is supposed to be up today, but hopefully it'll hold off a little while longer. I need to catch a few more fish, folks. I got to get my ultralight urge here. I gotta satisfy that craving. I satisfied another craving last night. You talk about putting on weight. You go eat up there at the local goat up there in Sevierville. Boy, I mean, it's good. It's the best restaurant up there. We went up there last night and I had a pasta dish. It's the only I've ate there numerous times, and I claim it's the best restaurant around here. But I've only had one dish there ever. It's so good, I just get it every time I go. It's a pasta dish. Fettuccine Rocco, they call it. And it's amazing. We went up there last night and ate. It'd been a while. There is a school of minnow or shad right here. I don't know if you can see on camera with the glare. But they're right here. I'm gonna let that gulp try to sink under them there and see if there ain't some kind of predator fish kind of hanging out there under them a little bit. This area we're fishing right here, yeah, I don't have the graph on. I can't tell you exact depth. We don't need the graph for what we're doing for this style of fishing. It's overrated. It's just a hood ornament up there. But it drops off very quickly. This bank right here, you can probably see on the land, like it comes straight off. So we're setting over here. Where the kayak's currently at is probably 12, 15 feet deep, I would say. Just because, and it over here to our right, it's going to go off even deeper. Like it just keeps dropping off at a very steep angle. But I'm trying to let that gulp sink down a little deeper onto those rocks and see if they can, maybe something was under that school there. Apparently not. We'll keep plugging along here, keep making our way. Keep making our way in the world today. Takes everything we got. Yeah, we went up there to local goat, ate. We had made a pit stop at the Target. Here's an observation I've made. Targets, and we had stopped at the one up there in Knoxville, which is the one closest to the Tennessee campus, University of Tennessee campus. So it's probably a little bit more so than maybe some of the other Targets. But every time I go to a Target, and I don't go there often, but this is an observation I've made at all of them, but especially last night at the one close to the UT campus. It's like a hot girl mecca. Like, there are hot chicks everywhere at Target. Down every aisle, every department in the department store, hot chicks everywhere. And that one up there was hot college-age chicks. There's something about Target that hot women just, I mean, it's something about it. They just love the place. You go to Walmart, and there's a website called, or there used to be anyway, called People of Walmart. And I remember being on that site back in the day. But I was never really like shocked by what I saw on that website, because I'm like, well, I see that every damn time I go to Walmart. Like that's just another day at Walmart. What is a shock when you go into any Walmart, it don't matter where you live. I've been to Walmarts all over the daggone country. It's the same type of people. You never see a hot chick in Walmart though. If you do see a girl that's somewhat attractive in Walmart, like she stands out. I actually think she's hotter in Walmart. Like you take a girl that's a 6 in real life, you put her in Walmart, she's instantly an 8. Oh, what's this? What is this right here? Is this another white bass potentially? I saw some flash. I don't think it was a bluegill. Something come up and snatched that bait, man. I just saw like a silver white flash. It's another white bass. We got us another one, folks. We're going to end up grinding it out here and getting us a cooler full of bait. It's happening. It is going to happen. As long as he don't get us in a pedal drive, we'll net him. I know I can't depend on y'all. You don't net no carp for me. I ain't expecting you to net no white bass either. I can't get y'all to do anything for me on any trip. Make me do all the work around here. It's okay though. We got it. We got what we need right here, buddy. Hello, Mr. White Bass. I'm telling you, man, you get these fish right here on an ultralight setup, boy, you're in for a time. This wind's gonna blow us up on this tree. Bear with me a second here. Let me get us out of this one. Is it about to rain or storm or something? It wasn't supposed to do that anymore, but the sun popped out for about 3 minutes. By now the wind's picking up and the clouds are rolling back in. I don't know what the hell the weather's doing. Mother Nature can't make up her mind today. Mother Nature's acting like somebody from Walmart, not one of them chicks from Target. There we go. Nice, another one. If Mother Nature was a chick from Target, it would be sunny and 75 out here today, because that's what all them girls look like, just beautiful. You go to Walmart though, God help you. It's a different kind of people go to Walmart. Now, I ain't talking like I'm better than them. I've spent a lot of money and a lot of time at Walmart through the years. But just having stopped in Target last night, it reminded me how much better the scenery is at Target, at Target, as some people call it. The scenery's much better there than at Walmart, especially at the one up there close to the UT campus. Hot chicks everywhere. I went to the toy department while I was at Target looking for them fancy G.I. Joe figures. You know, I've been on a G.I. Joe kick lately. They had a 2-pack. Get this crap, y'all. I swear these things ain't for children. They're for me. They're for adults. They had a 2-pack. It had a look. Oh, I had a fish on. It was roadblock and tripwire, if you remember those from when we were kids. Let me switch out this Gulp. That fish we just missed right there just tore that thing. Roadblock and tripwire, which weren't. I know I had roadblock. I can't remember if I had tripwire as a kid or not, but not my favorite G.I. Joes, certainly. Either one of them. But they were in a 2-pack at Target. You want to know how much them things were? I mean, I'm not buying them, obviously, but $54. $54 for 2 G.I. Joe figures. I'm like, there's no way. And they had these 3-inch, 3.5-inch. It was more of the size appropriate of what we had as kids. They had some of those in there too. They were $20. And they didn't look like the ones we had as a kid. You know, the ones we had as kids, at least in the 80s, you could bend the legs, you could bend the arms. These, like, you couldn't. They had arms, but like they were, you wasn't going to bend them at the elbow. You wasn't going to bend the legs at the knees. Like they looked like a Temu version of a G.I. Joe is what they looked like, honestly. But they were in G.I. Joe packages, and they were $20 daggone. I'm like, there's no way, like, kids ain't into that today. I'm like, they're just selling to adults. But when I go to a store like that, I'm gonna walk through the toy department and just take a gander. I'm gonna take a look, see what's going on. And you know, I've been on that G.I. Joe kick lately, and so I had to take a closer look at them things, and I couldn't believe $54 for a 2-pack. $20 for the 3-inch figures that looked like a Chinese knockoff version of what we had as kids. And the ones we had as kids in the 80s wasn't super detailed, you know, not like these 6-inch figures today, like that $54 2-pack. I mean, those are highly detailed figures and stuff, but like, I'm just blown away, man. I'm blown away by it. I'm still waiting on my, come to find out, I mentioned this. I had bought a G.I. Joe repair kit on eBay. And it comes with like them rubber O-rings and some screws and the pieces you need to restore a G.I. Joe, because a lot of mine are falling apart. I hear, where are they at? I hear them, they're close. They're somewhere down here on this shoreline, busting the surface. I heard them, I couldn't see them. But anyway, you know, my G.I. Joes, they got played with hard when I was a kid. They're falling apart now. Them rubber O-rings, they've rotted. They're falling apart. Some of the screws are rusted because I played with them in the creek and had underwater battles and stuff. Like they're in rough shape. My mom was always saying, you're sitting on, oh, here's your fish. My mom always trying to tell me, Justin, you're sitting on a gold mine with all your old toys. I'm like, Mom, my toys are so worn out. There's not much value left in them. This is a nice bluegill right here. Look at this. Hello, bluegill. Look at you. Oh, well, we ain't gonna look at you long. He stabbed me in the thumb with his fin and was out of here. That was a nice bluegill right there, though. As the wind pushes me off. But my mom's always telling me, she's like, Justin, you've got a gold mine with your old toys. And I'm like, Mom, if they were still mint condition in the package, those toys, that toy collection would be worth thousands upon thousands of dollars. Like I looked up a figure, and I done it on video on one of my catfish trips, as we were trying to figure out what year my first G.I. Joe that I got come out, so I could try to figure out how old I was when I got it. And we figured out I was 3 years old. It was the barbecue action figure from G.I. Joe, 1985 model. And we looked it up on eBay, and it was, oh, he nailed it. He nailed it as I was reeling it up. I think we got another white bass here. Oh, don't get my prop drive there, buddy. Don't do it. Don't do it. He wanted to run right under the kayak, didn't he? Look at him. He's got that rod bent right there, man. You tell me that ain't a good time? Look at that rod bent, man. He's got my ultralight rod bent in half. He's still taking line. I ain't even trying to reel down on him. I'm just letting him pull. I love this, y'all. I love this. This is fun. Let me get the net ready, because I know you ain't gonna net this thing for me. Come over here, white bass. Come on in that net. Got him. Yeah, these white bass are over here on the shoreline today. I said there earlier, man, every day you come out, they're here in this general area, obviously. But you come back out one day, they might be in the back of a creek. Next day, they might be over here in the middle of the channel, over 70 feet of water. Today, we're getting them here right on the shoreline. Nice. Nice white bass. Yeah, we're going to end up with enough fish here for a couple days of catfishing. It's going to happen. One way or another, we're getting them, whether it's trolling or with the ultralight here. By gosh, we're getting it done. I'm having a dang good time doing it too. But that barbecue action figure, 1985. So he's what, 39 years old now. You find him in the package there on eBay. It was I think $150 they wanted for him. But if you find a loose figure like I have that's been heavily played with, you can get one of them things for $10. You know, like it. So I hate to bust my mom's bubble, but my toys, they're worth way more sentimental value to me as an adult than what they'll ever be from a financial perspective. And you know, these G.I. Joes, I mean, even at $10 a piece, some of them probably worth way more than that. Some of them maybe less, depending on the particular figure. I've got a lot of them. I mean, I've probably got well over 100 G.I. Joe figures. I ain't counted them all up, but I'm sure I've got 3 shoe boxes full of them. And I was looking at them there the other day, and there were some of them that I played with as a kid that I don't seem to have now. So I imagine down there at my parents' house where the old G.I. Joe vehicles are at, in storage tubs, there's probably some of my figures still in those vehicles. So there's even more of them. But yeah, I don't think it's the retirement plan my mom thinks there is, but definitely sentimental value. But these new figures that are $25 a piece, some of them 2-pack, 50-something dollars, like, there's no damn way. But when I was at Target, I thought, I'm gonna just take a look. We'll just go back there and take a gander, you know, walk down the aisle, look at some hot chicks when my girlfriend's not looking, and then take a peek at some G.I. Joe figures and some wrestling figures in the toy department, and then take a gander at some more hot chicks on the way out of there, you know. If you fellas out there, if you single, you might want to just get you a part-time job at Target or something. I mean, if you spend enough time at Target, you're gonna find you a date. I bet you if you just walked around Target talking to girls, just randomly bump into a girl and like, oh, you know, sorry, and then try to strike up a conversation somehow. If you did that for like an hour, I guarantee you'd find you 2 or 3 girls willing to go out with you. As many chicks as are in there, some of them's got to be single. It has to be, statistically speaking. That'd be the place to go, man. You don't need to be swiping through Tinder and Babbel or whatever these apps are. Just get out there. First off, get you a kayak. Go pedal around about 3 days a week, 4 days a week. Lose that gut, and then go do that in the morning before you go work, and then after work, swing by Target, fish. You'll be in better shape, you'll look better, and you'll have a woman all the time. That's the secret to life right there, ain't it, Bluegill? You got any Targets down there in Bluegill world? He says there ain't no Targets down there, but he said there's a Dollar General on every rock pile down there. Now, I wouldn't be surprised. I assume that Bluegill's telling me the truth, because by gosh, you know how it is. There's a Dollar General everywhere you turn anymore. At least there is here where I live. I think we got 5 or 6 Dollar Generals in my town. I ain't lying to you, folks. I think we've got several Dollar Generals in my town. Everywhere you turn, there's a Dollar General. I don't know how they can put up so many stores. Every time a new building pops up around here, it's like a thing with me and my girlfriend. We take turns. We guess when a new building is being built. It's like, is it going to be a Dollar General, or is it going to be a dentist's office? Because all these dentists are popping up too. It ain't real, like, it's like dental centers. You know, it won't be like so-and-so DDS. It'll be like Premier Dental or something like that. That was that one that got trouble. Did y'all hear about all that mess? I don't know if this is just an East Tennessee story, or if this is like a nationwide type story, but it was a big deal around here recently. These idiots that work at the Premier Dental office in Knoxville, one of them, I don't know how many of them offices they are, but one of them offices is apparently full of idiots. They apparently, one of the patients they had left a journal behind. Now, who the hell writes in a journal in 2024? I don't know. Why are you taking a journal to the dentist office? Better question. But nevertheless, this girl, well, I assume it was a girl, I don't know. you don't think about a man writing in a diary and taking it to the dentist office. So let's just assume, I'm doing some assumptions here. I'm gender profiling a little bit, but let's assume it was a girl. She left her diary behind at the dentist office, Premier Dental. And these girls in the office found this diary, and they went through it and started reading it, which, I mean, let's be real. If I found somebody's diary, I'm probably going to skim through a few pages. I think most of us would. Let's just be honest with ourselves. Is it an invasion of privacy? Absolutely. Are we all going to take a peek? Yes, we are. Okay, it's like when Jennifer Lawrence's nudie pics get posted online. Should we look at that? No, but we're all going to take a look because it's Jennifer Lawrence. I mean, come on. We're going to take a look, okay? It's the way it is. Don't try to act like you're just this saint of a human being. We're all going to look at stuff we shouldn't look at, okay? It's the way it is. So anyway, oh, I got hit with another fish right here as I was trying to reel that thing in. What's this? Is this another bluegill or is this a white bass? It's big, whatever it is. That's another bluegill. Boy, these bluegill, look, man, these are nice quality bluegill that we're getting here. Pause the story for a minute. This is a really good quality bluegill. I'm just going to, curiosity, I brought my little measuring board somewhere here. I'm just going to just throw this on here, just curiosity a minute. Just see kind of roughly what these bluegill are running. I bet they're close to 8 inches. Yeah, over 8 inches. That in there's 8 1/4, almost 8.5 inches. That's nice, man. These are really good bluegill. I'm not going to keep any. I know I'd mentioned that I might supplement and keep some. But I think at this point, because we've been getting the extra white bass that we've got since we started ultralight fishing, I don't think I'm going to need them. So I'd just assume let them go and try to catch them when they're 9 inches, you know. But back to the story. We're all going to take a peek. If somebody leaves a diary at your office or your place of work and it's just sitting there and you don't know whose it is or anything, like you're going to, come on, you're going to take a look and just read a few pages, read a few passages. Okay? Listen, I fully admit I'm going to do it. All right? Well, here's what happened. These idiots at the Premier Dental office, they find this girl's diary and they go through it and they read it. Sure, understandable. But here's where they screwed up. And this will show you what kind of idiots. I mean, do you really want these kind of idiots fixing your teeth? I don't think so. Because that's the next level stupid. These girls in there take that diary, bust out their cell phones, and one of them's up there like, you know, giving a speech, reading from this diary. One of these other girls is sitting down in the floor of the office, like cross-legged, like she's a student just listening to this crap, and they're basically making fun of this person who has written these passages in the diary or journal, or whatever it was. And again, listen, why the hell they had that damn journal in the dentist office, I don't know. Who knows? But nevertheless, these idiots that work there, this is how stupid they are. They're taking somebody's private thoughts, which again, we would all read, but they're doing it, they're mocking this person in video and posting it on social media, which it apparently went viral very quickly because, you know, that's gonna, I think, here's a fish. I think in most people it's gonna spark a little bit of outrage when somebody's just publicly humiliated, violated in kind of a way, which is what they're doing. You know, let's be real about it. It's what it is. Whoever wrote in that journal is probably humiliated, and this is another just, look at this tackle bluegill, man. This is a hand-sized bluegill right here. Like, this is awesome. Calm it down, buddy. Let me just throw you on here. The colors on this thing, too, is amazing. He's got some purple on him. It's almost like a pinkish purple right there. Well, that's another one right there, just shy of 8.5 inches. Nice, man. Nice fish. I love catching bluegill like that. That is, they are right there in front of these rocks. They're out though, like they're out over deeper water. This wind keeps wanting to blow me off this place here. Let's see if we can make a cast and get spun back around. But yeah, these dumbass girls in that dentist office, and I mean, again, they're so stupid to do this. Like, why would you want somebody like that working on your teeth? I mean, if they're that stupid, I don't want them in my mouth. But they're sitting there mocking this girl. I assume it's a girl whose journal is left behind, and sharing it all over social media. And I'm like, first off, you're bullying somebody online, which is frowned upon in 2024. Like, you're going to catch some grief for that. They should know that, because you're bullying the girl, taking somebody's private thoughts and mocking her and whatnot, posting it online. So they should know they're going to catch some grief from the bullying aspect of it. Then there's the whole privacy thing. Like, in the healthcare world, HIPAA, as it's called, it's a big deal. And HIPAA is, God, I should know this working in healthcare as long as I did. Health Information Portability Protective Act, something along. Bottom line is, HIPAA, as it's called, protects you, the patient, from having your personal information shared. Only people that you consent to giving your information to, or people that is in your direct line of care when you go to a hospital, doctor's office, or whatever. Those are the only people that should have access to your records and your information. Well, a dentist office it's a healthcare practice, okay? It is. And when these girls are sharing this journal entries and whatnot, if there's anything in there that can identify, and I didn't listen to it, the whole spiel, like I saw the news story, and I see the people just outraged by it, but I didn't want, because I don't give a damn enough about it to watch these people. But if there's anything in there that can identify who this person is who left the journal behind, like, that's a HIPAA violation, and that's a big deal. Like, that's some big fines potentially there. So, and this, I mean, it's 2024, folks. This ain't day one of social media coming out. Like, these idiots should know better. And so I've got no sympathy for them. They have caught hell all over social media, at least here locally, because ain't nobody backing them, because there's no way to back them for what they've done. And they've been getting just railroad. They had to shut their Facebook page down, their social media down at that dentist office, because they were just everybody's blowing it up. And they released some statement or whatever that they had, I forget how it was worded, like took corrective action or something. And I think most people wanted all them girls fired that was a part of it, which it can be hard to fire people in places like that. It's hard to find help anyway, and depending on your company policies, like, you may have to go through a process. And so I doubt them girls got fired. They probably got a write-up. But people were just outraged that it had happened. They were outraged that they couldn't just be publicly hanged out there, if you will. It's kind of like the social media lynch mob was out, and they wanted to see these girls fry. And I mean, can't blame them for it. I mean, I'm not as out. I don't care. I don't have a dog in the race, so I mean, I'm not surprised that they went through it. Here's another fish. I am surprised that they were stupid enough to film themselves and post it online. but people are stupid. And, but you know, I don't know the person who was the victim. I certainly wasn't victimized. I just don't, on a personal level, I just don't care. You can only care about so many things in life, and I'm at capacity right now. So, but anyway, I was fascinated by the story. Bear with me, this bluegill's ate this thing deep. He's ate it deep. I gotta go do some, I'm gonna violate this fish's HIPAA rights right here because I gotta go in there. I ain't getting it out. I'm gonna cut this. I ain't getting this one out of this bluegill. You ate it too deep, bluegill. He ain't bleeding, but if I try to get it out, I'm gonna make him bleed. Go on then. We'll see, hopefully he'll be okay. I could have thrown him in the cooler, I guess, and used him as bait and then got my jig back then, but that's all right. I think we're good on bait. I mean, if we get any more white bass or skipjack, I'll certainly keep them, but I think we're gonna be good. Let's tie us on another jig here. The joys of an unedited, raw and uncut video is y'all get to watch me retie when I break off. If this ain't entertainment, I don't know what is, folks. I don't know if I can, okay, there we go. Boy, my ability to thread that through just like that, buddy, skills. I didn't even have to bust out my reading glasses. I didn't have to stab at it multiple times. Like, I just got it there first attempt. But yeah, these dumbass girls at Premier Dental, they've definitely cost them some business up. They got them some advertisement, and they say there's no such thing as bad publicity, but boy, it sure seemed pretty bad to me. They've definitely, they got their name out there for that dentist office, but I have to believe they've cost them some business. You know, and I'm not even, from just the standpoint of the invasion of privacy, if you will, is I guess what I'm trying to get at. I wouldn't be deterred from going to that dentist's office because of the invasion of privacy. Especially now after this has happened, I think they're going to be more buttoned up about it. And I certainly wouldn't be taking no journal in there and just, you know, I don't write in a journal, but if I did, if I was pouring my thoughts and all my darkest secrets and feelings into a diary of some sort, I sure as hell wouldn't take it to no dentist office, you know what I mean? Like, and if I did, I wouldn't leave it behind. So I won't have any concerns about going to a place like that and having my privacy violated. But what I would have concerned about, and why I wouldn't want to go to that dentist office, is the fact that they've got people there that are so stupid to think that that would ever be considered funny in 2024. Or considered okay that they were going to go and post that crap online. I'm like, if you're that damn stupid that you thought that would be funny or okay in 2024, you are way too stupid to be digging around in my mouth. I don't want you cleaning my teeth. I don't want you plugging cavities, nothing. That's just, you just too damn stupid. So I don't know if that story made like national news or not. But it was a big deal here locally. It's blown over now. All these big things, they blow over really quickly. Here's another one, but man, there's a stack of bluegill right here. And I'm content with just sitting here catching them too. I don't know, there must be some tree or something here or something holding these fish because they're kind of out. They're kind of out away from the bank. But when it gets down there to them, like they're on it. This is another big one too, man. Look at this thing. Boy, he stabbed me. He's another one's over 8 inches. I guarantee it. I ain't gonna throw him on the board, but I promise you he's over 8 inches. really good quality bluegill today. But yeah, I mean, if somebody's that damn stupid, you want them messing around in your mouth? Hell no. It's a matter of judgment, you know. If you're using that poor judgment, if you get yourself in a situation inside my mouth where you got to make a decision, can I trust you to use good judgment in that situation? And obviously you can't. So that would be my holdup on ever going there. Now, I've been going to my dentist that I have for as long as I can remember, so I'm not looking to change anyway. Even though I do get frustrated with him. I go twice a year to the dentist. Just normal cleaning, you know. And, you know, of course, if something happens, if I got a cavity or something, I obviously go more frequently or go back again or something. But most years, I go to the dentist twice, 2 cleanings. And during one of those cleanings, oh, there's a bunch of surf. Do I want to leave the bluegill to go chase the... Well, they're gone just like that. We'll stay here a second. See if we can get some more of the bluegill. I'm not opposed to go running them down, though, if they're close like that, the surface activity. But anyhow, I go get my twice-a-year cleaning. And during one of those cleaning visits, I am forced to get x-rays. Once a year. Forced to get it. So that adds to the bill. And during one of these cleanings, I am forced... Oh, there was some shad right there. It jumped up against the bank. I wonder if they're not working up through here right now. I can't get this camera situated here. Y'all in my way. But during one of them cleanings, I am forced to have a dental exam by the dentist. Even if I'm just there for a cleaning, he has to come in and say, hey, how's it going? You having any problems? He'll look inside my mouth for about 15 seconds. And, all right, man. Well, let us know if you need anything. We'll see you here in 6 months. We shake hands. That handshake is $70. I kid you not, folks. My bill is an extra $70 when I have to have that exam. It's $70 handshake, because that's all it is. I clearly didn't have any problems with my mouth, or else I would have told that to the hygienist when she come in to clean my teeth. So he just comes in, asks me what the dental hygienist could have asked me, looks in my mouth for 15 seconds, and then shakes my hand. $70 handshake. But you're forced to do it once a year. One cleaning a year, I can refuse to see him and refuse the x-rays. This bluegill couldn't refuse this gulp, though. He's on it, man. We got another one right here. We let that thing get down there to them, and they're on it, man. We got something jumping beside us over here on the right, and we got our hands full here on the left. This is another one that's big. Oh, it's another one that's ate it deep, too. Okay, it's not as deep as I thought. It's in the mouth, but this one's gettable, unlike that other one a minute ago. There we go. Well, I say it was gettable. He's bleeding. Well, sorry, bluegill. We'll throw you in the cooler since we've ruined his day. I thought that one wasn't as deep. It must have got him just right. It's all right. I guess we'll have a bluegill. If nothing else, maybe I'll get a thumbnail with him or something. But yeah, man, $70 handshake, because it's their policy. Once a year, you got to have x-rays. And once a year, you got to have the dentist see you. And it may be like that at all dentist office, but I think it's a scam. Even if it is like that across the board, it's a scam. You know, if you go to your doctor's office and you see the nurse practitioner or the physician assistant instead of the doctor, of course, is going to sign off on their charts. But you're not required to see the actual doctor in your doctor's office once a year. So why the hell should you be required to see the dentist once a year? I think it's a dumb policy. And I think this flossing every day, really dumb policy too. I don't do it. I brush my teeth, but I ain't flossing every day. If I get something in my teeth, I'll floss. But I'm not into the whole flossing every day. It's hard to get there and floss. Like, my teeth ain't perfectly straight. I never had braces as a kid. I think some people today, they get a little self-conscious maybe and get them braces, but my teeth a little crooked, but it never bothered me. I see, it's a common thing now. You see it more, you don't see men that are 30 plus years old with braces, but you see women all the time. I ran into a girl I dated years ago recently, and she was pretty well kept up, unlike some of the women I've dated in the past where they went off that cliff, you know, at 35, 40 and just let themselves go. This particular girl, she looked okay, but she had gotten braces. And she's older. I mean, well, I'm 42 now, so she's probably 40. I can't remember how much of an age gap we had when we dated. It was a long time ago, but we were within a couple years age of each other. So she's probably around 40, but she's got damn braces. And I'm like, if you didn't need braces the first 40 years of your life, why the hell changed? You know, now, you just look ridiculous now for 3 or 4 years. I don't know why, but it's something about it. You just don't see men with braces after age 40. It's a woman thing. Kind of like the lip filler and the Botox. That's a big deal too that I went on in a recent video, which again hasn't come out yet by the time I'm filming this one, but I know when it comes out, like, I'm gonna catch some grief for it. I already know. It's one of them things. It's one of them things when I say it, when it comes out my mouth, I know. Did you see that? You didn't see that. I saw it though, and y'all, we're about to do, you got water all over the lens. Why didn't you tell me about it? We got a smudge here, folks. When that's been on there, it's dry, it's been on there long enough to dry, you gotta holler at me. We're gonna do something right here though. I just saw it. The wind took me into that tree and I saw it. We're gonna grab one of these. There's caterpillars on this tree. And I guarantee you, when them caterpillars fall down in the water, and bluegill and everything else eating them things up, I'm gonna try to get one and stick on this hook. There was 3 or 4 of them there. I may have knocked them off actually when I nailed them with the tree. Let's see if we can get over here and take a look at them. This wind's gonna push me right up on it. Let me make sure they're actual caterpillars and not them the ones with spikes on them, pack saddles we used to call them. Yeah, they're right here. Is that caterpillars or pack saddles? Well, they got spikes on them there. I can't tell. I ain't handled a caterpillar in so long. I better let them go just in case. It may have been actual caterpillars. They're all over that tree though, man. They're all over that. Well, there's 3 or 4 of them there. There's some more of them right here. I think they're caterpillars. You used to see them running around on the carport and stuff. I want to touch one of them, but I don't. I better let them be. I guarantee if we put one of them things on the hook though. Here's the thing, we had these things when I was a kid, and I don't know the actual name for them, and y'all are still smudged up here. How did you take a direct shot to the lens right there? and not holler at me. There we go. But anyway, as a kid, you'd see caterpillars, of course, usually in the spring. And then you'd see these things called pack saddles. And they had them little prickly points on it. And boy, one of them things get hold of you that hurt you. They'll sting the far out of you. I don't know what them are. I think they're caterpillars, but they got enough spikes on them there. If it is a pack saddle, I sure don't want to get a handful of it. It'd be interesting, though, to put a caterpillar on the hook and see what happens. Seems like it's late in the year for them. Here's something. I don't know. What is this? We've got something here, folks. We've got something that ain't a bluegill. I'm hoping this ain't a channel cat, but we're in for a ride. Y'all hang on your britches here. We're going for a ride. This is going to take a minute here with ultralight and 2-pound line. Whatever it is. I think it's a channel cat though. I thought I felt a roll. He's got this rod doubled over though, don't he? He's just going to take some line. We're going to have to tire this thing out. There's something over there though. There has to be. For that many bluegill, especially that many big bluegill, and now this, there's got to be something there. I'll make a mental note of it, but it's one of them things, if you had a graph on, sitting here, the hood ornament, or if, you know, my other kayak with the live scope, we could shine it over and, of course, take a look. But, you know, again, this style of fishing, you can keep it super simple and be very productive. So why bother with all the electronics and stuff? When we're just out here fun fishing, just having a good time, like, why bother with it? Why bother with the hassle? And just sit back, enjoy nature, look at caterpillars instead of looking at screen. If I'd been looking at that damn screen, I'd probably never noticed them caterpillars. And they's all over that tree. Or pack saddles, whatever the hell they are. Seems awful late in the year for caterpillars. Seems like them things, when I was a kid, they used to be all over my grandma's carport. They'd be out there in the spring, early summer. And we're here August. Seems late. Now, what the hell do I know? I know this fish that I've hooked into is towing me in a circle. He's literally towing the kayak. It's going to be a few minutes before we see this one, folks. I hope it's not a channel cat. If it is, then we'll just deal with it, but I hope it's like a drum or a... I don't think it's it couldn't be a white bass. It would have been fighting harder. I hope it's a drum. That's what I'm hoping for. It would be pretty awesome to pull up a big drum. What all have we got species-wise today? So skipjack, white bass, obviously, bluegill. We've got that one little smallmouth, plus this. So this will be 5 species now today, which is pretty damn good considering. We've had several fish. The trolling bite there first thing wasn't doing us much, but just wasn't seeing the surface activity today. They just wasn't either not been as active, or maybe they've been tighter to the banks all morning, possibly. This thing right here, man, he's big enough that with this ultralight, you just kind of gotta hang on, just go with him. Thankfully, he's coming out this way toward open water. He gets over there closer to the bank, we're gonna be at risk of possibly breaking off if he gets us on a tree or a rock or something. But out here in open water, like where the kayak's setting now is probably 30 feet deep, this far off the bank, so there's not gonna be anything out here. Just on his schedule, man. It's fun. I love me some ultralight fishing, buddy. You may not want to include ultralight fishing in with your kayak workout plan because you're going to be moving so slow. You're not going to get your pedaling in, you know, like you're going to spend more time fishing than pedaling. If you're really going to sell your wife on the idea, you know, you're going to need to troll. Get out there and pedal for 30 minutes to an hour a day. But if you got some time to fish, definitely recommend doing some ultralight fishing. You never know what you're going to hook. When that jig falls down, when it hits the water and starts falling, it don't matter what type of fish is down there. If it goes in their face, they're going to snatch it up. Bluegill, crappie, bass, skipjack, drum, catfish, whatever the hell we got here, man. Nothing's going to resist a small minnow-like bait. You're going to catch a bunch of fish doing this all seasons of the year. The only time this is really bad, if the water's chocolate milk, it can be difficult. And if the wind is up, it can be. Right now, the wind's still doing okay. Like it's blowing just enough to be kind of to start to be a nuisance, but it's not bad yet. But you can have a ton of fun doing this. Minimal setup. Ultralight rod, 2-pound line, few jig heads, jar of Gulp Minnows, or whatever plastic you want to use, don't matter. Y'all, I want to get a look at this thing, even if it is a channel cat. I just want to see how big the damn thing is. I feel like he's starting to come up a little bit. Got to be careful. I don't want to put too much pressure on him here, but I'd like to get him turned up if I can. I think he's starting to kind of wind down a little bit. He's not making, okay, there he goes surging again. There we just lost all our ground we made up on him. If it is a catfish, and I'm thinking it's most likely a channel cat, but their mouths are kind of rough, you know, sandpaper-like texture. So with this 2-pound line, the longer the fight goes on and the more tension you put on the fish, the more stress is on that line, the more risk of abrasion. Thankfully, we do have our net with us today, so if we get him up here, we'll at least have a chance to scoop him up. I've lost a lot of fish through the years. I used to not carry a net, rarely ever, and you'd hook into a big drum or just something crazy, you know, that's way too big for the ultralight, and you'd have no chance at actually. You go down to land it, and that's when you're going to break off. You might get it up to the surface, but you had no chance of landing it. Hell, year before last. I think it was year before last. I think it was the first winter I had live scope, maybe. I was using this rod, and I threw at a fish that I thought was a crappie. And I quickly realized, this is how bad I am at live scope, I couldn't tell the difference in a crappie and about a 30-pound catfish. But I threw that damn jig on this ultralight in front of about a 30-pound catfish, and he ate it, and I battled that thing forever. It took a long time. And finally got him. I worked him up to the side of the kayak, and I didn't have a net with me. I had no way to have any chance of landing that fish, and so I broke him off. I grabbed my line, because what else could you do in that situation? Trying to steer the fish to my hand, and he broke off at that point. That's just part of it, you know. You use this setup, you're gonna hook some fish that's too big. But with that said, if you can steer them out to open water like we've done with this fish, and you take your time and you play your drag, you can get some really big fish up to the surface with a setup like this. You just gotta be patient. You gotta take your time. You gotta use your equipment. This ain't like these bass fishermen with 50-pound braid and setting a hook on a 1-pound bass and jerking him across the water or something like. You can't do that with this. This is more of a battle right here, where the fish is on equal ground as you. It's do you have the skill and the patience to work this fish gently to you, tire him out, and get him up in such a way that you can get a look at him, and depending on if you got a net or not, maybe land him. Even if this thing is a channel cat, I just want to get a look at him, see how big he is. I hope it's not a channel cat. You know I hate them things. He'll have our line slimed up and twisted up. It's probably about time for me to switch out the line on this reel anyway. It's been a while. I normally switch out my line every 2 to 3 trips. I've got a big spool of this 2-pound test trout magnet line. I buy the 10,000 yard spool, and I only fill my reel up part of the way. I fill it up all the way to begin with, and then the first time I strip line off, I only strip off a little bit of it, and I put a piece of tape on there, and that way the next time I put line on, I've only got to add on, you know, less than 100 yards, because most of my casts are short. And so it saves you on line, and that big bulk spool, of course, allows you to fill up, to re-spool for a few cents, versus buying a little filler spool, they call them, at $6 or $8 a pop. So I try to re-spool my line about every second or third trip. Keep it good and fresh, keep it in good condition. And when you can do it for like a quarter or less, depending on how much you bought that, those bulk spools of the trout magnet, they're like $40. They're pretty reasonable. It's like $8 for 300 yards, or you can get the 10,000 yard for $40. So it's reasonable. This fish ain't been reasonable though. I'd like to look at him already. Oh, he's going back under the kayak this way. Let's go over here. It sure would be helpful if y'all net this fish for me. I ain't never been able to get you to net a fish for me on this video. You will never come through that camera to lift a finger to do anything for me, but today would be the day that would be super helpful if you could help an old boy out. It is a catfish. It is a channel cat. And he is going to be netted, whether he wants to be or not, because there's no way we're landing him. He's pretty good size for a channel cat around here. We don't grow them as big as some places in the country do around here in Tennessee, but this body of water has some better class channel cats compared to some of the other places. We don't have as many blues here on this body of water. There are blues in here, not as many as other places around here. I gotta be careful. He sees the kayak, he wants to surge. I need to get him back this way. Between him and the wind, we've been making our way all the way down this daggone bank. Steer us back this way. I'm gonna try to put the kayak between him and the bank. That way maybe he won't come back over this way and get us wrapped in something. I'm gonna land this damn fish. I don't want to bring a channel cat in here, but we're gonna do it. We're this committed to it at this point. It's happening. Yeah, so this will be species number 5 on the trip so far. Biggest fish of the day, certainly. Even if it is old channel cat. Oh, get that net. Got him. All right, folks, we got him right there. Oh, let me get us off the bank. Bear with me a second here. Oh, the hook popped out too. Did you see that? Hook popped out. Got him unhooked right there. He unhooked himself. Get this undone. Yeah, right there, folks. Old channel kitty. He ought to be wore out. Let me hold him up like that. Yeah, folks, I mean, he only weighs a few pounds. Not a monster by any stretch of the imagination, but, you know, on an ultralight rod, that's a hell of a battle, man. 2-pound line. And that mouth, if you can see it on there, it's like sandpaper. You really got to be careful with 2-pound line. Get out of here, you old channel cat. Take the rest of the day off. You've earned it. He got his workout in. That channel cat, I put him on the kayak workout plan too, didn't I? Gosh, buddy, he's got this line slimed up. Let's make our way back down here where we was at. That fish, between the fish pulling us and the wind blowing us, which continues to pick up, we went a long ways down through here. Here's what I'm gonna do. I know y'all don't want to see me retie again, but my line feels a little rough right there. So I just want to be, I don't want to hook another fish down through here and end up breaking off because of that dang channel cat, you know what I mean? Rather just be safe about it. Give me a second here. I put that line in my mouth so it's hard for me to talk. Oh, this slime here. There we go. Okay, now we're good. Dang, we'll switch out that Gulp too, man. Yeah, number 8 size hook on that channel cat, buddy. It took a few minutes, but by gosh, we got it. It's good practice, honestly. Even though I thought that was a channel cat. Let's see if I can get this thing threaded again. I got lucky the first time. I got lucky again, I'll be damned. Even though it's a channel cat, and you know I don't like channel cats, it wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world if that fish had broke off or pop free, and it saved us a little time. But even though it didn't turn out to be a fish that I necessarily was super excited about catching, that kind of thing is good practice for when you do. I mean, having that channel cat, just the power of it and the size and the fact that, you know, he had caused a little bit of abrasion damage there to the line as we were reeling him in, like, that's really good practice for when you do hook a 5-pound bass on your 2-pound line in ultralight, or a 15-pound drum or something like that, and you want to land it. Like, you need those practices. You need those reps, if you will, to get used to playing the fish out with your rod and your drag, and trying to steer that fish out more out toward open water, away from the structure on the bank. Stuff like that. It's just good practice. So, glad it worked out. It's fun. It was a little bit of a disappointment when it pulled it up and it was a channel cat, but the fight, when you still got kind of the unknown, it's kind of fun. That wind's picking up though, y'all. It's getting a lot worse. I want to find that area where we were getting them bluegill at. Oh, it's been a few minutes. Maybe now we've let it be a little bit. Maybe we'll get them going again. Trying to remember where it was at down there. I seen them rocks. I think it's right over here, I think. I think that was our caterpillar tree right there. Yeah, it's right here. Got that little outcropping on the rocks there up on the bank. I remember it. Yeah, this wind's blowing enough now where it is going to be a problem for ultralight fishing. You may not be able to see there on the screen, but there's a big bow in the line. It's going to be really hard to feel. I can use the pedals here in the kayak to keep us positioned appropriately, but feeling bites is going to be a challenge. We're going to be just kind of needing to just look for a flinch on the line in the bow. Try to cast in between the wind gusts here, like right now. Or just hope that fish starts swimming and we feel the weight on the line when it tightens up. Maybe if it'll stay like it is right now, where it kind of gusts and then stops and gusts and stops, we might could time it and be able to cast between the gusts. Make a reasonable presentation, but we'll see. I thought we'd give these bluegill a break right here. They might get some more of them big ones to bite. Make a few casts. If they don't work out, we'll keep them working our way down. We'll find something else. It's fun, man. I'm having a good day. I was having a good day before this. I mean, just trolling around and catching a skipjack or white bass here and there. It's fun. But you get on them big bluegill like we were getting right here, over 8 inches on the ultralight, catch them white bass on the ultralight, man, it's a good time. That's all I can tell you. It's a good time. If you don't believe me, try it out. Try to prove me to be a liar. I hope one of you tries to prove my exercise plan to be a liar. Because I just know 2 years from now, I'm going to have somebody come up and be like, Justin, you've changed my life. 2 years ago, I was on the fence about buying a kayak, and because of your exercise plan idea, I took the plunge. And I've been going out 4 days a week ever since. And now I've dropped 30 pounds, and I've caught all these fish. And somebody's going to do that. One of you is going to follow through. And I'm going to meet you at the grocery store 2 years from now. And you're going to tell me that story. And I'm going to know if you're lying or not, because I'm going to be able to, I ain't checking you out or nothing, but I'll be able to glance down and see if you got the Dunlop belly or not. If the Dunlop belly ain't there, I'm going to know, all right, this guy's telling me the truth. Old Dunlopped over your belt. Now we're going to move on. I don't think we're going to get any more bluegill right here. Let's make our way down, see what else we can throw at down through here, see if we can work up under these trees and stuff. We'll get on something else. It's kind of, I think in a way, when you're doing this style of fishing, you're just beating the banks, what we're doing. In a way, I think it can kind of be good that we don't have that graph on. Because there's been times with the live scope, and I may have talked about this before on these videos, I don't know. But there's been times where I've been out with the live scope and I've seen fish. Maybe they're up under a dock. Maybe they're a bunch of fish stacked on brush. and you can't get them to eat. But you see them, you know they're there, but you just can't get them to eat. They're just shut down for whatever reason. There's been a lot of times where I've been in that situation and I have wasted a ton of time trying to make a fish eat because I see it and I know it's there. When, if I didn't know that fish was there and I just made a couple casts at that brush pile or that dock or whatever the object was and didn't get bit, well, I would have moved on and I would have kept going. And I would have eventually, throughout the day, run into some fish that were actively feeding. And so I think in a sense, objects like your graphs and your live scopes and stuff, they can be very beneficial when you roll up on a dock and see a million fish there and they're all active and eating. You can certainly eliminate water very quickly with those devices, just scanning around and seeing if something's there before you ever make a cast. It'll save you time from that aspect. But you can waste a lot of time trying to force feed a fish that just ain't having it too. And this situation with us just beating the banks here, throwing this gulp, we may be going right over. Hell, one of these trees here might have 50 fish on it. And we won't know it if they don't bite. And if they don't bite, we ain't gonna spend no time on it. We're gonna keep going. And we'll eventually find something that will bite. So you can make the argument to the counter argument, but the most important thing is just having fun, doing what you love to do. And when I'm in this kayak, I try my best to keep things simple because even though I overcomplicate the hell out of everything, especially with my other kayak and the motor and graph and all that stuff on there, it's nice to just do the basics. I spend a lot of time and money rigging up that other kayak and my new one when I eventually get it. And it's like, when you get right down to it, what's the most fun? It's being out in a smaller kayak like this, something that you can get. I mean, hell, that damn channel cat, folks, a few pounds on the ultralight, pulling us along, spinning us around right there. Like, you can get that experience in a kayak like this, but you don't necessarily going to get that in a, my other kayak, that Hobie Pro Angler. Like, you ain't getting that. That channel cat ain't doing that in that kayak. But it will in this one because this is so much lighter weight. And it's more fun. It's crazy that you have the more expensive kayak with all the gadgets ends up being less fun than the basic model here with literally 2 rod holders mounted to it. At least the graph ain't jimmy rigged on anymore. I've got it situated in such a way. I would like to move the transducer down into that transducer compartment there, but I've got that Raymarine graph and I like it. I've had it for several years and I like it. The problem with using the transducer for that graph on this kayak, right now I've got it on that pole over there. You see that little ram bar right there? And it's fine for that, but it catches a lot of leaves and debris as you troll along, a lot of grass and stuff. But the problem with trying to mount that transducer on this kayak where it's supposed to go is this kayak is made by Old Town, which is owned by Johnson Outdoors. Johnson Outdoors also owns Humminbird Electronics. So naturally, that transducer area is designed for a Humminbird transducer, not a Raymarine or Lowrance or Garmin or anything else. So if you got a Humminbird, it'll fit down there, no problem. If you got another brand, you got to jimmy rig stuff together and buy adapters and all that crap. And that Raymarine transducer, it's kind of, the height of it is an odd size. And it don't fit under there like I need it to. So that's why I got it off to the side. But but I would like it a little bit different setup. Folks, I feel like we're in a little bit of a drought here. Have we caught anything since that channel cat? I feel like we're due. We're definitely due for one, man. 5 species. I don't know how many fish, several. Bluegill over 8 inches. It's been a fun time out here today. We could just get that wind to hold off a little bit longer. The surface bite was pretty much non-existent except when the sun first popped out, and even it didn't last long. It was just the white bass. The skipjack, we didn't see skipjack busting at all today. We caught some skipjack, but they weren't busting. Every day, man, every day is a puzzle. You can pattern things, you can get on a bite and pattern, but like every day has a chance to be a little bit different. Just got to be willing to adapt. Keep an open mind. We'll keep making our way along here. I don't know why we're in this drought all of a sudden. We'll get back on them again here eventually. The bass boat man goes by 70 miles an hour. Thankfully, oh, here's your fish. Well, my drag got loose there, didn't it? What happened to my drag? It got way loose. I must have bumped it or something when I landed the channel cat. Thankfully, though, we ain't seen a bunch of boaters out here today. We've been pretty fortunate. So we finally get another bite right here. Thank you, bluegill. Much obliged, sir. Please and thank you. I'll take another. Might even take 2 more. Yeah, I've been pretty fortunate with the boat traffic. This body of water isn't as bad as some of the others in the area, but because of how narrow the channel is we've got a snag. Come out of that. I ain't got no more than plug knockers either, do I? I think I've used them. I got some more at the house, I think, but I ain't got none in here. Let's see if we can get over here and work this thing free. If that wind, the worst thing that could happen right now is that damn wind gust while I get myself over here under these trees trying to work this free. If Mother Nature's got any compassion at all, she's just gonna not blow the wind for a minute until I try to do this. And I hope there ain't no spiders up on this tree either here. We're about to get all up in. There it come, we got it, by gosh. Mother Nature held off. I don't think we got any spiders on us, and we got our bait back. Talent, folks. You can't hide talent. No, I was trying to say this body of water here, kind of narrow. So if you get a ski boater or a wakeboard, the wakeboarders are the worst. You get one of them through here, they can really just get the water tore up because of how narrow it is. But thankfully today, we've had a nice little session here this morning. Been able to get our catfish bait, have us some fun with the ultralight. Going to catch another fish right here just like that. Another nice bluegill right here. Nice bluegill, look at this thing. I love these big bluegill. I ain't gonna put you on the board, buddy, but I can. Oh! He's trying everything. Look at him. He's right there. He's wanting to go home with us. He's in the side pocket here of the kayak. I was trying to let you go, fish. Hell, he said he ain't going nowhere. He's just gonna go. He's gonna get in that pocket and go home with us. But I didn't want to measure that, but I bet you he is probably in that 8-inch range. Somewhere thereabouts. Quality's been excellent. I've got my line. My line's all twisted up now because of that channel cat. Definitely got to replace this before the next ultralight trip, but I was going to do it anyway, so not a big deal. I highly recommend that, y'all. Getting you the bulk spool. Them filler spools, $7, $8 a piece, they're a ripoff. When you can buy a 10,000 yard spool for 40 bucks, like just spend the 40 bucks up front. And then, like I said, fill your spool up the first time all the way full. And then when it's time to replace, just strip off however much you need. And you can see, like, I'm not making long casts with this setup. I never do. I do like to leave a little bit extra line because you might get a big fish, like a drum or channel cat or something that you need to allow them space to run. You want to have sufficient line to do so, but you don't need to replace this whole, what's this thing hold here? I'm trying to look. 160 yards, 250 yards of 4-pound line. So it's probably 300 yards or more of 2-pound line that this spool will hold. You don't need to replace 300 yards every time you fill. You need maybe 100 yards, 80 to 100 yards of line. And even that's probably too damn much. But, you know, do the math on that. If you buy a 10,000 yard spool of line and you only use 100 yards at a time, well, it don't cost very much money per fill up of your line. So you can replace your line a lot more frequently, and it don't, when you don't strip off but 100 yards, it don't take as long to pull that line off and put the fresh line on. So I highly recommend that, and just replace it frequently. Like I said, I'll do usually every second or third trip. And it just keeps it fresh, keeps it from getting a lot of memory in there, cast smooth. And a spool, a 10,000 yard spool, even changing my line every 2 or 3 trips, man, it lasts forever. It lasts way longer than what this fish is going to last fighting against me. Oh, it's another big bluegill. Boy, we've picked the right bank to go down, because this has got big bluegill all the way down it apparently. He's thick. There we go. Yeah, I like my line in bulk. I like to buy my jigs in bulk. This last year or the year before, I bought thousands of jig heads, and so I'm good probably for the rest of my life at this point on jig heads. And I got a bunch of Gulp I had bought during COVID, back when you couldn't find fishing supplies anywhere. Boy, it's another big one, man. I bought a bunch of Gulp and just stuck them in the closet, you know, stockpiling. So I'm still working through those. Boy, this thing's, he's hooked good, but he's right through the daggone tough part of that upper lip right there. He wasn't coming free. There we go, we got him. I'm gonna throw this one on board too for a second here. He looks like he's got some extra length to him. 8 1/4. Telling you, how many 8-inch bluegill have we got now? That's awesome, buddy. I love it. Bluegill like that on this setup, I mean, it don't take a big bluegill anyway. 5, 6-inch bluegill will give you a good fight on this rod here that I've got. But when you get one that's over 8 inches like that, man, I've blew right up on these damn fish. Goodness gracious, I'm about to clip this tree right here with that rod. Okay, I got around it. And what I'm doing ain't hard. I mean, I'm casting it out and I'm letting it sink. I wait to feel that thump or for the line to get tight or to twitch. If we see fish busting like them white bass, I'll cast it out and steady retrieve. But most of the time, I'm just letting it sink down. I might twitch it 2 or 3 times or something while I'm letting it fall. There ain't a real science to what I'm doing here. It ain't hard what I'm doing. You can do this kind of thing anywhere. You're gonna lose some jigs, and buy them in bulk because you're gonna lose them. You cast around trees, drop this thing down into brush piles and whatnot, like you're gonna lose some tackle. But the fishing that we're doing out here today overall, I mean, we've went through a few Gulp minnows. Probably lose 2 or 3 jig heads before it's said and done today. Like, what, under $1 in tackle? My trolling setups there, we were using first thing, them spoons. I mean, Catfish Sumo sells them in a 4-pack, like 12 bucks. Less than that if you get them on sale. And you could run them things for a long time. I mean, they're not a lure that's gonna wear out like a Gulp minnow here. It's gotta be replaced all the time. Them spoons, I'll run them spoons till I break off on something. Like, they last a long time. So that's a cheap lure. Like, it don't cost them a lot to fish like this. It ain't like bass fishing where you're gonna go out and buy a $12 spinnerbait and a $15 crankbait and have 47 of them in a tackle box in every different color. Like, it ain't like that. It's a minimal investment. Most expensive thing I got here is this rod. Now, I do recommend you get you a better quality ultralight rod. You go get one of them cheapos, a little 4.5 foot fiberglass deal. Like, you're not going to be able to cast as good. You're not going to have the sensitivity that a better quality graphite rod's going to give you. But I mean, even this, it was like $110, I think, when I got it. It's more than that now, I'm sure, with inflation, but still, $100 rod. And I ain't saying you got to get this brand. I mean, you can find a good quality. It ain't JDM quality, but I mean, you can get you a good mid-range rod that'll get the job done for somewhere between $50 and $100, I'm sure. But once you get that, man, the upfront costs aren't that bad to get started in it. And once you've got your rod and reel, after that, it's pretty much just jig heads and your plastics and your line. And so it's very cheap. It's a very, very cheap type of fishing to do. Catfishing, it can be cheap also, but most cat fishermen are going to fish with multiple rods. So you're going to have 2 rods, 4 rods. These guys in the boats will have 12 rods or more. That's a lot of rod and reel combos. The hooks for catfish, I mean, my catfish hooks, I use them mustads, and I think they're, well, about 20 bucks for a 25 pack. So I don't know, 75, 80 cents a piece, thereabout. Some of them hooks are more expensive than that, depending on your brand that you use. Of course, you gotta invest time and money. If you're buying your catfish bait, God help you, because I mean, skipjack, $7, $8 a piece around here. So you can spend some money on catfishing if you just on bait alone, if you got to buy it. So there's more expense certainly with something like catfishing, bass fishing. But if you're just doing general ultralight fishing, if you can just learn to go out and leave your expectations at home, like these bass fishermen, man, there could be white bass blowing up and a big school all around them. They don't give a damn, man, because it ain't a largemouth. Oh man, my battery's about dead, y'all. My battery's, boy, it's on. I've been sitting here talking to you, ain't paying attention. The battery has about had it. Let me tell you, I'm not done fishing, but I'm gonna tell y'all bye because this camera's about to shut off. I'll see you in the next one. We're gonna put these baits to use.